Boxed in, boxed in. The truth gets loud with no device. You're boxed in with Bryce.
It was just a lot different before. Nobody was fucking recording
Yeah.
a couple hours of footage at once, so it's just way different now.
It's and it's weird like having to mesh all of that shit together too. It's just like I mean, especially like I'm looking here, it's like, dude, even 3, that's a good ass investment.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
But yeah, I was slowly but surely on my end scaling it up too. I'm trying to definitely up the shit. I know with ours, it's like the other thing too, it's like we have two different cameras right now. Are these all the same?
Yeah.
Okay, that's badass.
Yeah, they're all the same. I was just worried about, like, I probably don't need a wide angle, but I think in my head I'm just the type of person that just overthinks the fuck out of things, and I'm like, it's good to do the grind and like build up, but I was like, especially with everything with clips nowadays, even with these, like when I break it down to like any type of clip, it doesn't look the best because it's not like a crazy high-end camera. You need a crazy high-end camera to, like, even these at like pretty penny a pop still isn't anything compared to how you get like a crisp, because you're really breaking down the footage into something like into like a short form content video. So
I feel like you have to just focus on like the ones that aren't doing the wides, or I mean it's still like stupid like changing up the aspect ratio and all that stuff,
it's
which
annoying.
I mean, hey, if they're like centered properly and everything, I think it gets the job done.
Oh,
but
for sure.
It's also just like, I mean, depending on what you use, it's so fucking tedious to like actually get the first of all, like stuff like word fillers and like cutting all that out, or like I don't know, like depending how crazy in depth you go in with it. But
like editing.
Yeah.
You're saying the editing side of it.
Yeah, the editing side of it is like, for me, I know with like making clips and reels and stuff for mine, it's a bitch and a half, like getting all of the first of all, like word fillers, and then also like kind of skimming the episode and seeing like what is the most what are the most like informative, or like I don't know, maybe like funny things or just cool things that might provide engagement for other people to comment or whatever. And it's just like taking that and then cutting it up like and then if you're trying to make it look like, I don't know, like throwing like an image on there or a video or something on top of that, I have found myself for sure being in a place where it's like, all right, I'm only doing like, I don't know, a few of these for this episode, and then I am sitting there for like hours, like maybe an entire day, and it's just like I need to find a way to like not have it be that
tedious.
Insanely tedious, and like there's got to be an easier way, but if you're competing with like, or I don't want to say competing, but like if you're comparing to other shows or platforms that have this like crazy budget, or maybe they have people under their payroll or something to do it for them, it just looks so great. It just looks so sick and like effortlessly, in like a weird like effortless way. But yeah, I mean, when you're DIY, it's definitely, you're wearing all these fucking hats. So yeah, it's tough.
I hate wearing all the hats. I feel like, I get, like, I always say that, like, watching streamers nowadays and stuff, everyone has like a full team to like damn near wipe their ass for somebody.
For sure.
But I'm like it's nice to like have that, but also because then you're not like disconnected from reality so much. But
yeah,
as far as editing goes, to be honest with you, I throw all this shit into an AI thing, and I get most of my clips from AI.
Yeah.
I run it through one time. It's like $20 a month.
Yeah.
And it categorized. There's a couple different like depending how in depth you want, there's like a service that can help you like cut it together depending on how long it is. You can actually get to like edit the full thing. But I hired some guy like on Upwork that just like edits the actual video for like $30 an episode or like 20.
Yeah.
I think depending if I send him bulk, like closer to 20.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But yeah, because I get you, like the headache of it, because I like editing stuff, but I like creative editing. Like when I was younger, like making like videos that are like the like OG YouTube kind of style. Like doing stuff like that is fun, but like sitting there, it's just busy work. It's like writing a paper.
Yeah, no, it's
for shorts. You're just there for like you said all day, and you're
5-paragraph essay. Like that's what it.
You're
feels
writing,
like
man.
Shit.
You're like the person in the courtroom going in and just like back and forth writing like what everyone said. No, fuck that. I did that in the beginning. I was like, no, I'm just gonna pay the like. It depends like how many. I think it's all depending on like the minutes that the AI system is like processing your footage at. And then if there's like a couple things, like if I think about like after a pod, I think about it and be like, hey, I really liked this part. Maybe I'm gonna like dive into some clips on this end. But for the most part, like you can even ask AI like certain sections of it, and it just like it scripts the whole pod for you. You can even put it into like captions later, or just like do that, and it's so much of a headache. Yeah, because fuck editing and fuck like going into like in-depth just like tedious work. I feel like it get, and then like you're not excited for it because then you're like thinking about editing and it's just fuck that.
There's a big dread to it for sure. The dude that I run my podcast with, which is also my producer with music stuff, he like will edit the like episode when it comes to like long form, and then anything after that where I'm making clips for it, I'll go ahead and do it. And even he's like, you should just like look into the stuff that is more AI regulated and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, like absolutely. And then in my head, I'm just so like, I'm specific about what I want that like I'm cynical of like what AI would do. But I totally feel like that is something I should just end up fucking sending it with, is just because I think the more that I've just actually sat there and done it all myself with that, I just don't know how much like how much worth the headache is it versus just, you know, at least giving it a chance, like seeing what it has. Like, you know, I'm not gonna like completely neglect AI usage in general. Like it's I'm not like that at all. It's just I think from a creative aspect, that's always been something that I'm like, how much do I want to go ahead and give it and all that. But yeah, no, I honestly just like talking about it right now, I'll give it a shot and see how crazy it is and how time saving it is, because that's definitely the other thing too. I have such a, and hopefully like as I scale up all the things I'm trying to do, this changes, but like I just have such a problem with like spending money when I feel like I don't need to. So even with like services like that and all that, it's just one of those things where I'm trying to get out of it a little bit and trying to like, you know,
go to the next side of it. Well, I would say like, because from what I've seen, like on your knowing you for a minute, seeing like your online presence and shit, like bro, you're just a true creative. And I think like from somebody on the same end of it, it's almost like I think a lot more people are easier when it's like I don't want to call people like basic creatives, but like when you're like pushing lines of just like cool dope shit, like you think this is cool, you think that's like a cool side of something, that like it's almost like letting your baby go a little bit. You know that this is dope, and let's whatever, if it's an aspect of a style or in a video or whatever it is, and like it's almost like it's like you have a kid and then it's like you've had this kid for 6 months and now you're giving it to daycare for like an hour a day, and then you give like it to like your parents for like a couple hours, like when you go on like a date. It's hard as fuck because it's like your baby, you're a hella creative person. Like I've seen your clothing brand, music, a bunch of different shit. So I think that's something with me too, bro. Like as I've realized with this podcast, I was like tedious as fuck. Like I'm making this like box wall and I'm like freaking the fuck out with like the gapping in between each
Sure.
of this.
It's
like,
fucking sick, by the way. I
appreciate
love it.
Thank you. To like dust particles, like I was going into, I think when people are creative, sometimes it like it's like you have visions and you have dreams, and like a lot of people aren't like that because they'll be just kind of like fuck it, like hey, this like kind of looks cool, we'll like throw up a green screen, like a lot of people said that, just throw up a green screen, or like you hear something like whatever, like you always hear. I don't want to say people bringing you down, but people are like, I don't know. I think to be cool, you got to push the limit a little bit, just in any aspect, right? You see the things that at least I find being pretty sick. It's just like pushing the limit with stuff and kind of any degree. And I don't know. I think with that, it's hard because you have to figure out how to like give stuff up. Like I remember before like each episode, sometimes when I first started, it was like I was putting myself through hell. I'm like checking. I mean, obviously centering and like doing it now, but I was so in depth of like trying to measure like head distance, like definitely be meticulous, but at the same point, like you're gonna make yourself go crazy.
We could talk
doing
about that
the other fucking way for sure
all fucking day.
Yeah.
Like, dude, there's so many creative aspects of things I'm doing where I'm like, and I've even like stepped outside of this and I realized like, dude, I'm holding on to this shit for like too long. Like it just needs to like like I'll just say it, like I have an entire EP that has been done for 7 months and it's not out yet. It's completely done like on the music end, but like there's all the fuck ass content shit that like you're supposed to go ahead and make for it, whether it's like dumb skits or the like, the fucking what I think is like mostly like cringy like lip syncy TikTok shit that the industry says you're supposed to do and all that. Like, all right, if I'm gonna do that, like how do I make it look a certain type of way and everything, the settings, the effects, all that stuff. And there's all of that I think just from not having enough time, once again going back to just the overall editing aspect of things, has literally delayed like that process of that actually coming out and all of that. And on top of that too, like I think just like priorities and stuff like that, like I mean even past this EP that's it's waiting to come out, like there's a whole nother one that's like honestly like has legs to stand on right now, probably like 70% done. I want to just like get into a rhythm of everything that's done that needs to be done is done, and then it's like a never ending queue of like all right, here's this, because I feel like this day and age 2026 is probably this way for years anyway, but like everyone has such short attention spans of like, all right, that's cool, and then they move on to like someone else or something else. And this is a little bit of a side tangent, but like I mean I'm team Kendrick all day, but one thing I've always loved about Drake, especially like 2016, 17, 18, and dude was putting out a song like on like a monthly basis, and he was just the focal like conversation, like just in the main point of like that industry and everything for like so long. Like just regardless of genre or anything, like he was just always there. So I feel like with in terms of like just getting out of the mindset of like no, this thing isn't done, like as you said, it'll drive you crazy. Like just fucking whatever, however it is, as long as it's like decent, like acceptable standing, it's like just fucking throw it out there, and for me that applies to like obviously I do a bunch of different things and like have a bunch of different creative outlets and stuff, but I feel like with music that's been a big thing where it's like, all right, just at this point just let it go. And then with other things and other outlets as well, like just throw it out there. Like just the consistency I feel like is key, and eventually out of that consistency, like there will be some things that are like people will see as like, oh, that's high quality, and then they'll grasp onto that,
Mm-hmm.
and then more and more, and yeah. But yeah, that's it's tough getting out of that mindset, or at least finding like a middle ground of like of when it's ready or when it's not, because like you said, like you'll just drive yourself crazy.
Yeah,
with
no,
it.
100%. Like and it's definitely hard too, because I see it when you're like, yeah, like content plan, especially now you hear it a lot of like what's gonna push the needle this way or push it that way. I mean, going into, bro, I had like the set built. I had a couple podcasts kind of on the back burner of just like ready to go. Some of them were trash, some of them were good, and I'm I'm worried about, when I first recorded, I had 2 cameras. Then I kept doing that same thing of just, you're just like waiting. You're like, no, like it's not good.
Yeah.
People are gonna judge it, and especially now it's hard because you think about where just the industry in any creative aspect, it's like when you're up, you're up. When you're down, you're down. And when you're up, you have that opportunity to almost like catch the quote unquote like household name, I think, now. And I think people, at least for me, that was a big thing of like, all right, well, do it to the point that if it goes up, and then like I'll get in like the school of fish and all these people, like it could happen. But
Yeah.
it's hard. It's super hard. And music, I can't even imagine, because it's the same thing of content plan, and then you have like however many songs. Like, how many songs are gonna go in the EP?
This one that's coming out is there will be 7 on it.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Like, so like 7 songs,
Yeah.
doing that, and then content is it's in a weird place right now,
It
especially
really
with
is.
shorts. And yeah, like you don't want to be cringe, you want to be cool, but you don't want to be like overbearing. But nowadays, like, really the biggest thing I've realized is like, you just gotta just put something out. I feel like no matter like how cringe it is, or like even if it doesn't hit, because I think you'll build with it. Like my first couple podcasts, I just see some different like micro things I was doing, and just as it gets better, you get more to like chill with it. And same thing with content. But yeah, you don't want to come off, especially because we've seen people in the social media game just come off so fucking cringy. Yeah. And so like, welcome back to my channel, and like whatever it might be, that you're like, you don't want to come off as that. You don't want to come off as fake, right? And even media in general, for the most part, right, it has this like huge swing shift. YouTube first dropped, I don't know how much you would watch when it was like first going on, but it was super like raw, like people just put shit out, and then it got very corporatized, and now like the biggest things on the internet are like podcasts. Like those are where all the big brand deals are going
100%.
to. Music too as well. Like people want like just like raw shit that's going on. People are like, they don't want the fake or the bullshit, or obviously there's some aspects people like gossip and whatever, but I think as long as you just have like a good direction with the shit, bro, you're gonna be solid. What you do, what I see like you post is dope, even from like the clothing shit to music. I say just keep the momentum going. It will slowly just fucking build, and then yeah, as you have more money to put like more ideas into shit. But yeah, that's a tough thing for me too, is like, what do you put money into, what do you not?
Yeah.
Because I have bought so much dumb shit for like, even when I was like younger doing shit, and even with this, like I've bought some dumb shit. I'm like, why? I'm just like returning shit and like being extra with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of I could think of so many examples of things where I'm just like, why did I buy that? Or like, for instance, there's this thing I'm doing for like a single cover right now that I bought off Amazon. I'm like, this is the weirdest shit. This is the most like out of pocket thing for me to buy.
Yeah.
And it will be returned when it's all said and done, after this like photo shoot thing. But it's just like, yeah, there's a lot of that. That's just, it's, I don't know. It's it's weird. Like looking back and being like, why did I get this thing or this thing or this thing? Or being like, fuck, I should have put more money into this part of it rather than this. And yeah, especially with something like music, I feel like with other outlets, it's like, okay, there's probably like a few things, whether it's, podcasting, whether it's like ads or, marketing stuff or the editing stuff, like, there's a few things. But with music, it's like, especially if you're wearing so many different hats, it's like, all right, do I get more,
studio time?
Yeah, studio time, or like, stuff for like producing, or like if I'm producing myself or doing stuff like more plugins or VSTs for like that stuff, or like, pitching to like good playlisting, or to go ahead and like, even like lessons for.
What's pitching to, like, that's like a SoundCloud or like a Spotify?
Yeah, there's
like
platforms,
Friday, like playlist, or
there's platforms you can go ahead and pay for. Well, there's two things. There's platforms you can pay to get on playlists, which is usually the most like red flaggy, disingenuous thing ever, because it's scams. Oftentimes you'll be placed in front of like bots and stuff. And then all the streaming platforms will technically, they spot it really fast, and then you are like, so like you're, what's the word I'm looking for? That like, social media does this for people. They
blackballed,
but like they like ghost you, or like you're not seen in front of anyone. I forget what that term is.
Blackballed, no? Like when you look somebody up on Instagram and they don't show.
Yeah, it's
maybe there's another word.
It'll come to me.
Okay.
There's another term for it. But
so I'm confused though. So like you see some shit somewhere online or whatever.
Yeah,
you put it onto a playlist, and it's like hundreds of playlists that people are on, or is it?
Yeah, there's two. So yeah, one was the one I was saying, which I don't think anyone should do, of like paying to get on a playlist that is usually the person running it. I'd say like 80% of the time it's bots, and like it's fake streams, and like on face value it makes you look cool, but it's not.
So you're saying botting from that? Is what gets flagged up on it.
It's super frowned upon. And then the other one is honestly a little more acceptable. I think but it's a bit more of like you may get nothing from it, which is paying legitimate sites to consider you to get on like stuff that is within your niches, which I'm not gonna lie, like I found a few that like they've in terms of like some of the niches and like some of my songs and stuff, and like the sounds of it, that would fit nicely into like a punk rock playlist, or like a new wave pop punk, or like a emo rap thing, or whatever, the last few songs, like there's some that I found that they're like, oh my god, this is perfect for this, and then throw it on, and then you see through like your distributor, and like Spotify has this thing, if you're on Spotify, for like artists and stuff like that, of like who is seeing your shit, are there playlists that people are adding this to, what's the location of these listeners and stuff like that. So that's all legitimate. Submit Hub is one of the bigger ones that I know of, and then there's some other legit ones, but I mean that's one aspect of like, is it worth throwing money into this? That's one of those things on top of, I mean, like, should I pay for, if I'm trying to get better at like paying for, I don't know, like guitar or vocal lessons or type shit or whatever. And honestly, like that's another thing that I can go ahead and rabbit hole about, is just I do all the things that I do because I fucking love them and I'm passionate about them. I don't think by any stretch of it that I'm necessarily good at it, if that makes sense. Like I like all the things that I do, and I'm hyped that other people that I've shared stuff with, or have they seem into it as well, which is fucking great. I love that. But I don't think like fundamentally, like I look at myself and like, oh yeah, I'm like this incredible singer, or this incredible like guitar player, or this incredible like just creator of stuff. I love doing it, and I think the more that you do it, the more that the actual aspect of like, are you this like God-given talent, so like I don't think any of that shit matters at the end of the day. I think people can see like you love this, you're into it, you're passionate about it, and then over time, obviously, like anything, you get better at it. I look back at like the first thing I put out, and I look back at it not in like shame or anything like that at all. I'm just like, oh well, vocally I'm now better, songwriting wise, lyrical, whatever, like I'm better. Podcast wise, I look back at like the first episode, like I'm sure you do, and I'm like, oh yeah, like it's way better now.
I think that
it's like right up.
I know you're talking about. They have like the guy. It's like on the it's right up the street.
Yeah, it's on.
I don't think so, but I know that like my boy. I think I've like tried it. I haven't gotten myself.
Okay.
So I also go for like I go for like darker coffee for sure now.
Absolutely, yeah. I was just
with like a lighter like some milk in it, but I know they have some really fire like dark roast that my friend got.
Yeah.
To go back to topic though,
For sure.
You were just saying, shout out Rad, but what you were saying, so real, because it's hard as fuck. I can't even imagine, because I remember for a little bit I wanted to like manage some people.
Mm-hmm.
Like for music, bro, it's like you can literally spend so much money, and it's hard. I can't even imagine like going into like, I think if you're a musician and you go pay for studio time, like it can't happen. I think like there's some parts of it to do it, but I think to do it at home, it's just like, I think most people with just where the economy is and how much what's studio time in LA, 55 plus an hour probably. I mean, without a producer, like, I'm just assuming, right?
Probably on the low end, too.
Yeah, like, that's on the low end of just getting into, like, a space that's smaller than a fucking bathroom, right?
Yeah.
And then you hire a producer or somebody that comes in and mixes it, depending on their level, whatever it might be. Like, I saw it on just the low-end rap end of my friends wanting to come in and kind of just, like, have the studio time, have fun, but like if you're gonna sit down and one of my friends want to take it serious, I mean, he's $500-600 in with not that much content back out in it, you know?
Sure.
So automatically in music, if you want to start it, like you probably have to get a decent mic, whatever it might be, depending on the sound and what you're going for.
I think I have this one actually.
Yeah. Well, this is the fucking standard, right?
Yeah,
this is like it's so good for like gain and stuff. So
yeah, you honestly, that's probably one of the biggest upgrades I've had in general is honestly just an SM7B. Like it's just anything
it's
below
the standard.
it.
Yeah, it's been like the standard for like music for like a minute, if I'm not mistaken. I know they do other stuff now with like recording. Is it like different like float levels? I think I don't even know. Maybe it's just like the recorder itself.
There's all sorts of different ones, but yeah, I mean, if this is, I'm not saying I'm that big a fan of him, but I'm just like, if this is good enough for someone like a Joe Rogan, that's like it's good enough for me. You know,
for sure, 100%.
Yeah,
yeah, that's always a big thing. Is like even when I first started the podcast, I was like, all right, I'm gonna use different mics.
Yeah,
and then I'm like, now is it like a weird thing? Like these are like the standards. Like should I? Because I think it's like a movie, right? I think like when you do video content, short form content's different, but long form, it's like you don't want anything that people are going to want to like click off. Like Mr. B says something about like when somebody sneezed in a video, like retention would go down.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
So that was like what he would say is like retention would go down.
That's interesting.
I would think about shit like that, like to the point of like, obviously like I'm not taking out sneezes during podcasts, but like maybe like mute it for a second or just, yeah, my brain would think, in that detail of whatever
yeah, for
it might be.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I know that like when it comes to just something that is like drastically out of the way podcast wise, like a sneeze or like a
I think he was talking more of like his like videos than like a podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, but still same fucking
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
same
he
shit.
does.
Yeah. I can't imagine Mr. Beast in a podcast. I don't know if he's probably just like his brain is just.
I'm trying to think of like any short formy things like that. He probably has like a Hot Ones episode. I know it's not a podcast,
Yeah,
but
something like that.
you know, that's probably the extent of, you know, otherwise it's like, hey, we're you know, we're doing live action Squid Games. Winner gets $20 million.
Yeah. He's just investing all his time into that.
That's like, imagine that guy's budget, like for a single video.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's insane.
It's yeah, it's wild. I don't know.
But I think that's like a whole different thing, right? Because like as much as like I guess it comes down to the same thing, right? Like as you invest into something, you're looking at like a return on the back end of it. But he probably already has it backed by like banks or like big studios or whatever it might be.
At this point,
it's fucking. So to him, honestly, it's not even that money's already back tenfold over, which is fucking crazy.
At the beginning, though, I mean.
Yeah, he was just dumping everything like right back into it.
I'm just
his
like
earliest videos.
You know, everyone has their own like upbringings and shit, but I'm just like, there's a little bit of like frowned upon-ness on my end of just like, what fucking 1% rich parents did you have that like you were able to go ahead and, you know, throw in? I'm not saying he did. I don't know, but like. There's a little bit of that. Honestly, even like comparing with like other, you know, peers I have maybe in like the scene of like music I'm in or like whatever other like shit I'm doing creative wise, and I look around and I'm like, you know, seeing them have this crazy work and all that, and then they're not like that big of like artists or whatever creators, but it's just like they do that and then they go, I don't know, on a random Italy vacation, and then they do like I don't know, just like doing a bunch of stuff where I'm like, dude, I'm scraping pennies right now, just existing, and then putting a little bit into it's like there's a little bit of, I'm trying to get out of that like I'm judging, you know, people for having more cash flow than me in that sense, but it's definitely one of those things where it's like there's certain people here and there where it's like it's hard to look past. Like, I mean, even with like a lot of people around me that I'm seeing like, oh, they, you know, maybe it wasn't like this massive thing, but like they got to like tour, or like maybe they consistently like play shows that, you know, full band get up and everything. It's like all of these little things that add up to cost an insane amount of money to like have to just like front it, not even to make money, to just like be able to do those things. And then it's like, well, like, you know, thinking to like situations that I've been in and even, you know, still am in, it's like the affordability in that at the moment is just, it's tough, especially as we just like progress in or regress, depending how you look at it, like just in time, it's like everything gets more expensive, inflation, all that bullshit.
Especially in LA, right? Because I think everybody, it's such about, like, I know some people in like the music scene and like scene stuff. It's a lot of people that, I think a lot of it's like facade though. Like, I think for sure what you're saying is like true. Like, people invest, they go on a trip and they go do it. But I think a lot of it is just like an image thing.
Oh, for sure.
Like, you'll see it more in obviously like the rap scene. I'm not sure about like the punk scene or whatever. I know a couple like aspects of it, seen like a couple shows and a couple people, but I've seen it like a lot of like kind of the other side of music. It's so much of like ignorance coming off as like you're pretty much like untouchable, right? Because that's like the music thing now, is like trying to be the person where you're almost like, we're all socially here, right? But it's like, all right, now this music person's like a little bit above everyone, or at least tries to come off like that. It's
like this rapper that will like work full time at Target, and they take out all their direct deposit, just they take all of it out in cash, and then they like and they do flexing it in the video and stuff.
And
it's
then
they
just like paid like that, all that money for like, or like jeans, like some crazy jeans, or like, it's all just, I don't know. I think that what you're saying is true. Like, a lot of people scraping by to do it, but I think a big thing of it too is like, I've seen a lot of people like ride the cape of somebody else, right? Because like once there's a little bit of money going somewhere, like especially like the music game, right? From like any type of label or something, like everyone like hated on 360 deals like back in the day, but they're just still happening. Like 360 deals, nobody's negotiating 360. I don't think you have no room to negotiate. I know a couple artists that got some like 360 deals from Universal, and it's like everyone's gonna take 150 grand, and they're gonna own all your shit.
Yeah,
because that's what I've seen with people that like actually quote unquote get the check from like a label. It's just the same shit every time. They give you like 100 grand, 150.
But I feel like,
and then they're like, go do your shit. Here's like a max amount for like studio time. And then a lot of people just like ride the cape of that. Depending on what it is. If it's more like homegrown, right? Different for sure. But
I feel like it depends on how much. I think the biggest thing is like having some sort of leverage, whether it's like a crazy devoted like core fan base or like certain amount of, it sucks that we're in this timeline, but like a certain amount of followers, or like you've built up a brand or something like that. Like aside from those exceptions, which, you know, I mean,
does that happen anymore? Does anybody have like a cult like are cult followings happening? I mean, there's some people, right? But
yeah, I think
like household names for sure. And I guess there's like smaller aspects of them, but I feel like it's rare. I feel like it happens. It definitely happens. I'm not gonna say it doesn't.
I feel like in rock though, I feel like it is a thing locally. Like if you go ahead and you actually can play more shows, and those, you know, kids or whatever, 20-year-olds, whatever, like they keep pulling up every time, and it's like backyard shows, or maybe you're playing at a bar or small clubs or whatever. It's like eventually there will be someone, especially in the city of LA, where it's like there will be someone there that's like, whether it's an A&R person or something like that, it's like, okay, then they run back to this indie label who is technically owned by this bigger label and stuff like that. Like that stuff does happen.
Yeah, I guess like in the rock scene, it's a lot. I wasn't thinking about it like there. It definitely does.
Yeah, but
backyard shows are popping the fuck off.
I know.
I feel like in the last, I mean, you do a lot of like photography and shit. Like, what would you say, like 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, 2-3 years. Yeah. And it's to the point where like, even like, I've been seeing, I think this was like a year or two ago, like some bigger artists being like, no, I want to go back to playing this so that Live Nation doesn't like scrape shit. Like
you're probably making more money on a backyard show
in a weird way. Like I guess it depends on how big of an artist you are. I saw that the band All American Rejects was just like,
they did a tour.
We're gonna play house parties because like fuck Live Nation right now, you know, and all that stuff, which I think that's badass. And obviously like the people that were there, that's got to be like some core memory shit, because it's this band that usually will play like, I don't know, like amphitheaters or like, you know, really big places, and here you are seeing them on a probably like plywood stage in a backyard, you know, like
they did like a barn tour, right, or something
like that. Yeah,
something crazy.
But yeah, in general though, like I think the 360 deal thing, I think a lot of people go ahead and everyone has their reasons for like doing deals like that. And I feel like the biggest one is, if honestly, it's probably catered to someone like, honestly, like, if you presented me with one right now, I don't know if I would sign it necessarily, but like probably someone like me, that it's just like, you just want to have eyes on you. Like that is the biggest like thing is you just want to be kind of in that noticeable zone of like, there's enough people that are paying attention, and a massive label like a Universal or a Capitol or Atlantic, whatever, that gives you that, signing your life away, basically. They could do that for you. They'll be taking most of your shit, but you do have this like level of, you know, and maybe it does pop off and do incredibly well, and then you can make like a living in like a gross not like a gross way, but it in like a gross way, they're taking so much of that.
Yeah,
It does
of course.
like it's yeah.
But it's unlimited resources, right? I mean, it's unlimited.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like if you want to go invest money, like it would be really cool. But like if you hire a team that knows market strategies,
Mm-hmm.
like it's a whole, like they know it all. It's fucking, it's scary. And like I can't even think of like, and it just seems like it's the same cycle in music from what I've seen. It's like sign the deal, 360, and then like can you become bigger than that? Like, do you want to be bigger than what they can provide for you? Like, is the money coming in that you can then like turn it on your own, or like give them a shitty album to then flip out of it? Like it's such a shitty cycle with that shit. Like
It really
I think that like most people try to. It's weird because it's like the low end wants to like, you know, like people that have like, I guess like less followers or like less of like a following, like they go into it, they have it, they try to kind of catch the wave, right? And then like when you catch the wave, you either do one of two things where like you literally have to stay with the label because like let's just say Drake, for example, like the logistics of Drake, if he wanted to go solo, would probably be like he'd definitely like lose money, right? Because you hear a lot of people, they do their own thing. It's like you're losing so much money compared to the machine that they always talk about of touring to distribution to whatever it might be. Is it's just a scary fucking game, like you're saying. They take it all and then they probably give you like pennies on it, but like renegotiating it. But it's a scary industry, bro. Like that is it.
Yeah, I could be wrong about this. I think Drake's a bad example because he, I think his stuff is on OVO Records, which is his thing. I could be wrong, but
Drake's
like
too big. He's under Universal. He's too.
Is
like,
he under Universal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's way. There's no like top tier artist. Nobody is doing it. At least from what I know.
There's
like,
very few. Like
very, and it's probably what they did is like they were so done, and they like even like Frank, like Ocean, right? Like he he gave him the album, and then I think he signed to like like a lot of people, they like get out of the label and then they do like distribution somewhere or something.
Yeah.
Like it's all, but yeah, I think OVO does like some end. I think it's like the distribution side maybe, but he's 100% like with Universal.
Okay, got it.
He's just too big. Like he's just too.
And then
he's too big to hire. Like it's like logistics there. It's running like he's a company. He's not an artist anymore. He's making millions of dollars from people. For people.
It's cool when you see stories of like people that, and eventually it seems like they all do end up going with those massive labels eventually. But it's cool seeing an artist come up that like was independent as fuck and made it to like a Chance the Rapper or like honestly a Suicide Boys. They're like they have their own label. I saw them at the Forum a few years ago, and I saw some stat saying they're the first artist ever to headline the Forum as independent artists.
I didn't even know they were independent.
That's fucking insane.
So it's G59.
G59 is their baby.
Under their ship.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah, that's so sick. So like they don't have any hands stealing money from their cookie jar, it's so fucking cool.
That's badass.
I remember, oh my god, dude, I could talk about Suicide Boys all day. I fucking love Suicide Boys.
Same.
I remember I went to Lollapalooza in 2021, which outside of Rolling Loud Miami and Florida, that's its own, might as well be its own fucking country. Outside of that event, Lollapalooza 2021 was the largest gathering of people post-COVID. It was like 100,000 people, and like luckily I had my where I was living at the time in West Hollywood, it was like sort of like kind of like a party house, sort of. One of my roommates at the time, Brian, who I love very much, he's like probably one of the most down for whatever homies I have. Like he's just like, hey, you want to do this? Sure. We get our tax returns and then we mob over to Chicago, me, him, one of his friends, one of my friends. We go over there and do Lollapalooza. Suicide Boys was an artist I wanted to like check out, and they pit them against Tyler the Creator. They play it at the same time, and I was like, fuck, I want to see both, but like we'll do like a little split thing. We'll see some of Suicide Boys, some of Tyler, and then we go see Suicide Boys, and they play a stage called the Perry stage, which for Lollapalooza, that's like, that stage is famous for being like the EDM-esque stage. Like the production value on that stage is insane, and like even for someone like Suicide Boys, they don't usually get that crazy production, but there was just like fire going on like the top of the stage. You could probably see it from like your hotel if you were living in the city or staying in the city. And just everything about it just absolutely blew me away. Like their songs, the crowd energy, like production, everything, they were so good. I was like, I kind of don't want to leave to go to Tyler, but we ended up going, stood in like this ocean of people for Tyler the Creator. I'm 6'1". I like had to like stand on like my like tippy toes to like see even a little bit of it. One of the biggest crowds I've probably ever been in. And don't get me wrong, Tyler was he was great, but I left Chicago being like, no, bro, Suicide Boys is the shit. And I spent the rest of that summer just like rabbit holing down everything that they have. I've probably seen them since like 4 or 5 times. Like,
that's badass.
They're incredible. Saw them at Rolling Loud in Inglewood a few years ago too. They played like right before Post Malone. Yeah,
that was like 2017, 2018.
No, this was a few years ago.
Oh, it was, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately,
I saw them Rolling Loud to LA. I think it was like 20. Maybe was it 2020? I don't remember when I went.
It was
like when Juice was there. And
I wanted to go so bad.
Bro, I saw them there. It was fucking insane, bro. So I went.
You saw
the year
Juice
before.
WRLD?
Yeah.
Fuck.
So I went. So I think that was definitely Rolling Loud, like 2018.
Yeah.
Because I think 2019 or 2020, I remember also watching, like the tribute to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it was insane. Dude. Going to see him. It was crazy there. But yeah, I think something about like being. Like again, I think going against the grain, and I think Suicide Boys always had that. You know, it was never like pretty, right? I mean, they have the album covers of crazy shit going on with like blood,
serial killer type shit.
Yeah, vibes, and definitely that kind of against the grain, not even against the grain, but you know, the pushing like the limits of what you would see that doesn't happen a lot in like the music industry, where people just like fell in love with them. I mean, they literally have a song called "Fuck the Industry."
Yeah,
like they have like, they talk about some crazy shit in there, and I think that's there's something about that of like they're appealing to the masses, but like not. So I think that with that you get the cult following, like in the way of like your fans are your fans.
100%.
Like it's not like they're not a household name like Drake might be, but like they're huge.
They're massive.
And it was, I would say like 2016 to like 2020, they were like popping the fuck off. I know they took a break for a minute, but
it was like this they're in this like realm of hip hop that's like, do you call it like emo rap? Do you call it like, I don't, like goth rap or like alternative rap or whatever? And it's like all the other artists that they kind of rode this like wave of fame with, sadly, are like no longer here, like a Juice or an X or a Peep.
I mean, they rode the 20 quote unquote 16.
Yeah.
Right, like era.
Yeah.
That's our like 70s like Woodstock. It's
yeah,
like 2016
for sure.
SoundCloud era. Yeah, it's definitely
that was an era. I'm honestly, dude, like I wish I was more in that space a little bit during that time. I feel like 2016 I was like in the like more in like the Warped Tour space a little bit of like, because it's really interesting, that scene, because they kind of happened simultaneously. Like they like Warped Tour was like going down, but there were these bands that like were popping off a little bit that are now like 2026. It's like a a Pierce the Veil or like
Interesting.
someone like that. But like now they're insanely big. And yeah, that 2016 era, like I knew X, I knew Peep and like some of that, but I just like, I wish I went to more of those shows. Yeah, I mean, I never got to see Peep. I never got to see. I had the opportunity to go see X, and I didn't.
Was that in Florida?
No, this was
okay.
no. This was where where X played at, like, I think it was the Novo. This might have been like right when it shifted from right when it shifted from Club Nokia to the Novo.
That's a sick venue.
It is, yeah.
The Novos, it's like, I'd say it's the most like intimate. I mean, obviously there's more intimate spaces, but I feel like it's like the smallest little like theater, like that brings, like, they have the pit downstairs, the balconies up, like it's a cool fucking
It's cool,
place
yeah.
to go to.
I would argue there's more intimate places, but
Yeah, no, definitely more intimate, but I would say like it's like the smallest of like a theater that I've seen.
okay, yeah.
That's like kind of cool. I like the balcony. I mean, just because a lot of places are just like one story mostly.
Yeah.
It's a really small like 2-story
Yeah.
balcony spot. I don't know. Every time I saw like freshmen, one of the like freshman classes there, which was dope. I also saw, who else did I see there? I think it was just the freshman classes
Okay.
that I saw going into there.
That's cool. Yeah. I wish I went to, like, I'm trying to think in that era who I've seen, like, from that scene specifically. I remember, like, it's not really even the same era. I remember, like, Ray Shremmerd, like, seeing them, like, right before.
That's like right there.
Yeah.
That's right. In like the
Yeah,
same.
I think so. It was like, I think they were like, forget where I saw them. They were like, y'all want a new song that's not out yet? And then they played Black Beatles. Like shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Where do you think, like, as far as like the industry and stuff, kind of going back to talking about like content creation and all of that, is almost to be like, because when you say like cringe, like, do you mean that in the sense of like when you follow artists, you kind of like that they don't post a lot of stuff, and then when they do, it's a lot of like less is more? Is that like when you mean by like, hey, you don't want to come off like that, like you don't want to be posting like 10 things a day every day? Or like, what do you see from your favorite artists, how they're pushing their stuff that I guess you would want to do as well? Is it like less is more, do more like quality? Is it just push out a lot of stuff? Do you think that's kind of the move now? Or
I think it is the move, and I just think that it's like, I live in this area of like, kind of, I don't know, I'm like frustrated that like I kind of feel like with all of the things that happen within my time and my day to day, and currently working honestly like several jobs at the moment, it's one of those things where it's like finding the time to make that happen. I remember there's this podcast that I'll listen to every once in a while. Trying to remember the name of his show. His name's like Joe Volpis or something like that. He's pretty cool. He honestly has like a lot of guests on that like cater to my niches, from like people in bands to I'm also like a lifelong pro wrestling fan. He has like wrestlers on there. He'll have like child stars from the 90s, like a Keenan and Kel or something like that. Like it's a lot of stuff back and forth. But I remember there's one episode he was talking about like, and this is absolutely insane to me, like even saying like, yeah, we probably should be posting a little bit more. He posts like 25 times a day. And I mean, it works for him. He has millions of followers on like TikTok and, YouTube subscribers, all that crazy shit. I don't know if I would ever go that extreme with it, but there is this like dedication that I feel like, yeah, you kind of have to have industry wise to just keep pumping more shit out in all aspects of it, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But I do think that if you grow from that I think over time there is a less is more thing. I think there is like, I don't know, think of like a big artist these days, like, you know, The Weeknd is not doing content every single day.
Yeah.
On, you know, like Kendrick is barely on social media, you know, like he'll post like, I feel like every other year, you know, like
100%.
he just he doesn't have to, you know. I feel like a lot of it is like, if you find ways as you grow to get people to look at you for or to pay attention to you for, you know, whatever it is, whether it's just your music or maybe your I don't know, whatever it is, there's less need to go ahead and pump out more content and stuff. But I feel like, yeah, if you're coming up, it's just one of those things where like, yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. If you're trying to grow, you're trying to, like, I hate this fucking term, but like make it or whatever. That just seems to be
what the process
doesn't really seem to be any way around it. There could be like maybe some shortcuts, maybe some, like, you know, if you have a budget, there, you know, all these things that can maybe work in your favor if you have certain tools like that. But otherwise, yeah, that's just kind of what it seems to be, which is fine. Like, I don't mind playing that game and continuing with it. In fact, like, I mean, the plan right now, I don't know when this will come out, but like I probably within this week thing, I'm about to start being like insufferable again, social media wise, just being nonstop with it. Cause I feel like too, I personally have taken like, I took like a break from just, I don't know, there's like this anxiety that would come out sometimes of like feeling the need to even just like make a post or whatever. I feel like, you know, sometimes as artists, like, you do need to just like step back and just
of course,
for your own sake to just, you know. I feel like too, the other thing is like, regardless of whatever creative thing is that it is that you're doing, if you're putting it on the internet somehow, you are you're in this space of like, you're gonna get metaphorical tomatoes thrown at you by some incel online that like doesn't have a profile picture, 0 followers, 0, you know, 0 videos, 0 whatever, and those comments are always the loudest versus, you know, whatever else people are saying. And that's just kind of how it is. But that's the other thing too, like, you know, you grow and all that, and there's gonna be, you kind of have to develop more thick skin with it, which is just kind of how it goes, unfortunately. But yeah, all that to say, yeah, I feel like the more that you put out there, the more eventually you'll get back. Yeah.
Do you think, because just for me, assuming the small kind of I guess aspects that I've seen in the space of like more rock bands and like punk scenes and such like that, a lot of it too is like people just grinding shows. Like, would you say that it's more of like the social media thing that a lot of these like backyard bands or people are like catching the following, or is it more like these, I don't know, events that I see that like my friends do or go into, that's just like a lot of like just doing shows all the time? Do you think that you see that more in when you see like these bands that you like take photos for, you're kind of in the scene? Do you see like that aspect too? Is that something that you would want to do as well, as just, hey, get out there and just do as many venues as
Absolutely.
I can?
Yeah, I think too, it just comes down to, as I was saying before, like, it just comes down to just having a budget to go ahead and front being able to do those things, because especially at the beginning, there, even if, you know, people pull up to your shit and everything, there really is no making money off of it. 90% of the time for people starting out. It's like there's an investment in playing one show, as long as it's like if you're in like a club that fills like 100 people, like, they take money from you to go ahead and like even just have a spot there, you know, or like if it's a promoter that's having it for the night, it's, you know, same thing, like, hey, give us this much money for X amount of tickets, And then if you, in the 10% chance that you get more people, you can keep that. But
That's
you know,
fucked.
especially in these days too, it's like a lot of solo artists like myself, or like you know, whatever it is, like if you're trying to have like a band, like they're not doing that shit for free, you know. If you're it's just one of those things where over time, yeah, there is a lot to go ahead and financially front for it. But I do think that, yeah, you do need to go ahead and kind of have more space to go ahead and venture in, you know, you kind of have to, like, I guess, pizza pie chart it out, like this much for this thing on the music end, and this much for this on the content end, and this for the live show end, and this for, you know, it's that's why it's, you know, I've had this talk with someone honestly like a few years ago, and I'll just say it was like this girl that I was seeing at the time, like on Tinder and whatnot, and she was like she was with like this person in the industry and like the like rock scene and stuff, or at least used to be, kind of like medium sized artist, and was basically saying, like, telling me, and I'm like, dude, I full on believe it, like everyone that you know, whether it's like even not that big of an artist, like if you see someone with like 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify, maybe like 600k, 700k, like they either like come from a lot of money themselves, like you have to just have a lot of money to put into it. If you're independent, it's, yeah, you have money to go ahead and like put into it yourself, or you just have this giant thing backing you, you know. And if you don't,
it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. But
when you said you had like anxiety as like content and stuff, is that something you've like dealt with your whole life? Is it really just like the content side of it? Is that something?
Oh no, I mean, I think like the mental health stuff in general is definitely something that I've dealt with like most of my life. I feel like also too, just like in my music and stuff, that's something I don't stray away from at all. Like, you know, a lot of my songs they do have to do with stuff involving like relationship stuff or breakup stuff or whatever, but a lot of that within those stories, I'm talking about like, you know, just overall feelings for what that's doing to me or how I'm feeling and all that stuff. And yeah, I would say that like while I'm in a better place with both of these things now, yeah, I was very consistently depressed, like on and off, for a lot of points in my life. And then, yeah, anxiety too. That's always been this thing that it's like, I guess depending on what scenarios I'm in, what settings I'm in, I'm pretty chill with like being like, oh yeah, like, no, it doesn't phase me or anything. But yeah, other times there's moments where I'm like, no, like I can't even like hang, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the last year or so, okay, I will say this, when it comes to doing music in general, the anxiety part of it for me, it was like, I knew I wanted to do this thing. I wanted to jump in this world because I was so passionate about it for years and years and years. And I want to make music inspired a lot by like people I look up to and all that. But there was a big fear of like, even just like putting stuff out there that other people are going to hear and stuff was the scariest thing in the world to me. You know, I would even say now, as someone that like right now with this project, like I haven't played a show yet. I can't wait to, but at the same time, that is the scariest thing in the world for me right now. You know, it's like even just like the thought of that. And it's just one of those things where you just kind of face those things head on and just kind of knock them down one by one. And over time, like when I put out something, is there a little bit of like nervousness and all that? Like, sure. But, you know, there was probably a time at one point where it was like, I mean, Eminem from 8 Mile, where he's like, before he goes on stage, he's just like running to the bathroom to throw up or something like that. Like that. It was that like similar of like shaky anxiety and all that stuff when it comes to that. But yeah, I feel like anything over time, it just becomes, you just kind of, you're able to kind of sit in it and feel a bit more, I don't know, like it just kind of fizzles out a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I've had mental health problems like my whole life. I've fought with it as well, and it's a hard thing. Definitely, like how people are looking at you, and then doing the other end of it, where it's almost, it's like, yeah, you're putting yourself out there, and then you're scared of how it's going to be perceived. Are you going to be cringy? Is it going to be too much? Is it too less? But like even me, like I do like stand up right now.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Nice.
I gotta I don't post more. Like that's even me. Like on my social media, and I haven't posted in like 10 years on my Instagram or something like that. But like I do like the podcast and like the YouTube side of stuff and like TikTok and clips. But I'm still fighting it to this day of like pushing out that stuff of like stand up or podcast on my side, because I'm like, is it the right time? Do you want to like be perceived as this much when I do push it? Make sure it's like a structured plan to do it. But yeah, definitely like mental health is a constant roller coaster you go through, and doing it. And even with me, I know music, because like a little bit I've like dived into like making more like, I know I play a little bit of the guitar, and like it's definitely like a release that helps. I think that's a big thing too, of I would assume that when you push out music in that way, being passionate about it, because it's not some like mumble rap bullshit that you say, you know, like you say, like the music that I've heard is, you're talking about like different aspects of like your life and relationships and whatever it might be. What do you think, where do you see is with your relationships where a lot of it like goes wrong? Like where do you think like things in relationships like nowadays like you struggle with? I know you said you're like dating somebody now, or even like friends or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Where have you seen like hardship in those aspects?
Well, I mean, me and my girlfriend right now, like we've been together for years at this point.
Okay.
And I'm
badass.
Yeah. I love her very much. She's amazing. Previous people, you know, it's funny because like I look back at a lot of people from like before, and honestly, like I'd say like 80% of them, like, don't get me wrong, we don't like talk often or anything like that, but like most of them, like, we're actually like pretty cool. Like we're pretty like chill, like surface level chill with each other. This also comes down to like, if you're dating in like whatever scene of stuff that you're in, whether that's like maybe you go to maybe like see, I don't know, like if you go to like stand-up shows like locally around here or something, and then like you get involved with someone and you guys go consistently, and then, you know, it doesn't work out, and then you're still going to them, and then you know, maybe you'll run back into them and stuff like that. Like with me, a lot of like going to shows and stuff, that happens all the time. Like it just does. Like there's no way around it. I'm gonna go to a Warped Tour, which is literally it's in like 2 weeks. It's right by they're holding it by like the Pike
Convention
outlets.
Center,
And there's a shitload of people. It's like 80,000 people. I went last year.
Holy fuck,
ran into like 3 people that I used to, you know, and we're all good. Like it's all, you know, but yeah, it's funny that, especially like, you know, if you still go out and y'all still are kind of participating in the same things, then you kind of have to just, you know, it's going to be awkward, or bury whatever the fuck it is, you know? I think over time, though, to answer your question about like, you know, what are some things that might have gone wrong or whatever, I feel like a lot of it whether it's a two-way street or it's a one-way street, I feel like the communication aspect of it is, as I've gotten older and have, you know, with my girlfriend right now, like we're very like, especially her, like, and this is definitely something with me where I'm like, I can always continue to work on this, but she's such a communicative person when she's not happy about something, or, you know, whatever the case it is, whether it's something in like her day-to-day life or it's something with us or something like she's really fucking good at that. And I would argue that, like, yeah, with a lot of people where stuff doesn't work out, it's like, if you both mutually want it to last, it's like over time, when something does eventually happen or something goes wrong, you have to like sit down and be like, all right, we're figuring this out now, because if we don't and this lingers, we're not lasting. You know. And I feel like just over time, like, you know, obviously, like I've gone through that, and obviously, you know, no shade to people that still do, but I feel like the more that you are able to have those talks that could be uncomfortable depending on what the situation is, I feel like it really does help, really just like your progress in life. It's like either this ends now, or we are going to, you know, continue and just kind of flourish into, you know, the relationship that, you know, we have and all that. And I feel like with other people, it's just, you know, it could have been me, it could have been them, but those uncomfortable talks, or just maybe not even uncomfortable talks, just overall communication on like how you're feeling with certain things, they just don't, you know, they just didn't happen, and that's okay. I'm looking like in more of a positive outlook now, of like they weren't meant to happen.
Yeah, of course.
So, but yeah, I think that's definitely one of the biggest things about it. And you know, what's interesting with me, with my music, and some people know about this, I'll definitely, like, more I like jump on to other people's platforms and stuff, talk about this more. A lot of my shit that I sing about, write about at this point, and the stuff that's going to continue to come out for like the foreseeable future, a lot of my songs that have to do with that stuff are things that are like, I am so far removed from this situation. I'm like years and years, like, at this point. And then it's like one of those things of like, well, then why would you still, you know, put it out and talk about it and all that? I'm like, in my opinion, it's just because, like, I think it slaps. I really do. Like, this was something that, like, I went through, and this person is so far removed from like my life, or like we're so far removed from this situation or whatever, but this shit slaps. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's just something I want to continue doing and all that. And the other thing too, sorry, I keep like piling one thing on top of another.
Good. I like it.
I am currently sitting, not literal music wise, but like when it comes to like pen to paper, notebooks and all that, dude, I'm sitting on like 50, maybe 60 songs. Like,
that's badass.
A lot. Like, I have no shortage of things that like I'm ready to just like frisbee out. It's the other side of it, the you know, the production parts, the, you know, all the other bullshit outside of that as well, that is the only roadblock at this point. But yeah, the goal with that is just nonstop, like, just, you know, whether that's monthly or bi-monthly or, you know, whatever the case is, just frisbeeing stuff out left, right, and center. And that's, you know, as we've talked about, just like with all these aspects that I have creatively, it's like, that's just one end of it. Like, you know, with the clothes, you know, that's something I can't wait to like re-up again as well, because it's definitely been like under construction for a while, as I put it on my page. And then yeah, the podcast too, like same thing. Just once everything is back up and running, I can't wait to just like be in a fucking system where it's all, you know, coming out left, right, and center like that. I feel like as I've gotten older, just the ability to like do that on a consistent basis has actually like helped me with like happiness in a weird way.
Course.
Yeah, like it's something that growing up, I actually like, I feel like I neglected that part of me, like the creativity, for like a long time for a few reasons. One, like I didn't necessarily have the most like support system with like, you know, expanding that, and then growing up, and then two, I probably felt within myself like, oh, you know, like I didn't get started at age 13 or whatever, therefore it's too late, you know. And that's, I think as we all get older, that's just something that needs to just like stop, you know. I absolutely love looking at people that grow or like get to a certain place in whatever craft it is that they're doing at a later age. Like it's so fucking inspiring seeing that shit. I can no longer relate to someone like a trying to think of like anyone that's like broken recently that's like 18 or 17 or whatever. I can't relate to that, you know. Like it's just good for them, that's great, but you know, I'm not really like a country artist person, but someone like a Jelly Roll that like broke at like 38, you know, that's so sick. Like and stuff like that. Like I love stories like that where you were sitting in this for so, like the hill that you climb and all that might take a really long time, but eventually get there. And yeah, that shit's inspiring for sure.
Yeah, I like what you're talking about with communication, because I think a big thing that I've seen in my relationships is kind of similar to what you were saying in music or whatever you're doing. I think sometimes in relationships it kind of correlates. Fun enough that you were saying it's like there's not a grounding point in a relationship sometimes. So like communicating can be that, similar to if you're building a business or like music, whatever it is, having that consistent releases. Like even for this podcast for me, it's almost like I think a lot of times in our lives we become so in the past or so in the future or so worried about this or worried about what happened then, and to almost like communicate or even baby a career into post, it's like a grounding thing. And I've seen that with communication with people. It's like to have check-ins, to have, hey, what bothers me here? What can we do better in this situation? Because it's what keeps you sane, right? And people don't talk about a lot of things, especially living in a city. A lot of people put on a front for work or school or friendship sometimes to be this thing, and to like communicate, it almost like brings you back down to talk about those tough things and not just like have the Coke bottle explode and then fix, you know, to try to maintain that. I think relationships that I've seen, I've had a lot that have gone rough, that it's just been that constant cycle of like, and then it pops and then we fix it and we break up a million times, and it's and it's sometimes with even friends too, of like even like I'm like a call-in type of person. I think that helps a lot more. I think texting sometimes is like disconnective. Just like talking to people.
I noticed that about you. Yeah, that's really cool. Because we're all like,
I just think it's just like texting's hard, because for me it's like you can't, like, it's good. I maybe should do it more if like, yeah, we're going to do a podcast here, like a 2-minute phone call to be like, yeah, like that. I do it. I don't know. It's just a habit that I have, because I think calling, you get so much more substance than like any text, and texting can be like disconnected. I think can almost like ruin relationships sometimes, because I think for small things it's okay, but I mean, the biggest thing, like the motto, I guess you could say, of like my podcast is like, it's not for clickbait, it's for connection. Because I think in my life, that's what I crave, of just connecting with
absolutely.
people. And then that also dives into the hard part of connecting, right? When it gets tough, when you are at, you know, a low point, to how do we get back with friends or family or whatever. And
Dude.
yeah, communicating is just, it's very hard with any relationship.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's very key. And it's just going through the tough part of it. A lot of people run because, you know, maybe they don't communicate well with a lot of people, or have ever communicated with anybody.
100%.
I think that's why divorce rate is what, 50+% or something like that.
Yeah. It's I think it surpassed 50.
Yeah, which is fucking insane. But even like, I have some family in Europe, and just like relationships there are I think a lot less people are. It's just like lighthearted, and talking and communicating is so much at the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes down to like sense of community, and out here it's a good thing. A lot of people are individualized, but like slowly in America, sense of community is just going down, and I think that also takes such a hit on communication.
Yeah.
Because it's like now you're fighting a million battles compared to in more community settings. It's, I think, a little easier sometimes, because a lot of people are like almost bearing the weight more than just with us, like living in big cities. It's so individualized to, it's like there's this communication battle, there's this relationship hardship. So yeah, it's what you're saying is so right. And
I feel like
it's hard.
I feel like though, what is important is the fact that like it is a two-way street. Like honestly, one thing that I'm like super fucking grateful for my girlfriend with this, because yeah, like I honestly was someone that never really, when things get tough, like was never really communicative about that stuff. Like maybe it was obvious that like, okay, this is a rough patch or something. But actually like sitting down, ripping the fucking Band-Aid off and talking about whatever it is something that like she just does. And it's I feel like over time, you know, obviously when those things are worked on, whatever the situation is or whatever, that's one, like there needs to be, I guess you kind of both have to be that. So she's kind of helped me grow into being someone that also is like, hey, like I don't like it when this thing or this thing. But also the willingness of person number two to be like, okay, like shit. Be like, okay, like let's work on it, you know? And like or how, what kind of, maybe even like middle ground or whatever can we get with this and all that. Like that shit is just, it's so important. Yeah.
Do you think, because you were saying that like you didn't do it before?
I didn't.
Was it, because I didn't do it either in a lot of relationships, and to me, was it like more details, more problems? Was it just like, hey, you know, it's a rough patch, it's kind of like we're just gonna get past it, compared to like almost dissecting it, or what was it?
I think
just like
so.
in your life growing up, you were like, hey, through bullshit, I'm hard enough, I know I can, or not, like this is hard, I know like what to do, like almost going through the cycles, or what was?
Dude, I think it's actually, I think it was all of the above that you're saying. I feel like it's with certain people, it's like if you don't like it or whatever, it's like, well then I don't need to fucking talk to you or hang out with you or whatever. And then
to the side.
Yeah, and it's you know, eventually over time, and you realize after it's all said and done, like how many people maybe you used to be homies with or friends with or whatever that you maybe were close to at one point. Now you're just like, hey, what's up? How have you been? Or you haven't seen or talked to them in years and years and years. It's really easy to like fall away from people if you allow it to happen, you know? And then with like relationship stuff, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. It's like you maybe there's, you know, some shit that happened or whatever, and you're just expecting well, things are going to be okay. And then one day they're like, well, I think we might be done here. And it's like, oh, all right. You know, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, I think over time, those things, obviously, like, there's lessons to be learned from, you know, everything, whether it's something that maybe you've done that you can look back at yourself and be like, maybe I wasn't great in this sense, or maybe this could have been handled better, or, you know, I'm all for also like kind of being simultaneous about it, maybe like pointing some fingers, being like, maybe this is something that, you know, they also could have as well. But yeah, just being really introspective about whatever kind of fell through and seeing how much of that is on you. And I feel like the more that you deal with that, you know, and that once it, like everything, I feel like there is a middle ground, a middle area of like, you can't depend, every situation's different, but it's like, maybe you can't put all the blame on yourself, and you have to like be level-headed enough to realize that. But in areas that you can, you know, just kind of knowing that, working on that, and just kind of continuing and just keep going.
Is that similar to like your mental health journey of just kind of like pushing through it, or what have you seen that's like helped you?
Yeah,
with that side of it, just not even past, I guess, disconnected from relationships. You said, hey, you know, I went through a rough patch here. Like what helped you? Was it because you were talking about like, hey, when I was little, I was really going through it. Mm-hmm. Was it like release? Was there a release to that creative side with music and the clothing and the pod, or what helped you? Was it being more introspective, or what?
Yeah, so I think for like years and years, I simply did nothing about it and just assumed like, this is just what it is for me. You know, I don't see that many other people in my life going through it. Also, I had a religious upbringing too, so like any sort of talk about mental health stuff that was bad was like a product of Satan, you know, like it wasn't necessarily something that I talked about much growing up with people. I would honestly say that, you know, talking more about it and honestly even doing stuff about it really only happened for me in the last like 9-10 years of trying to handle things a little bit differently, like looking into therapy, eventually going to therapy, and then, you know, even doing stuff, coding it or medicating it in ways that were bad, like, you know, going through a little quick drug thing, or honestly, like when I was really, really, really going through it, like learning, I never drank really before that, but that was when I just like would just, yeah, that's when I started like picking up bottles and shit. And I feel like over time, eventually there will be enough things in your life that will maybe happen and realize like, okay, so maybe this was a product of this thing. And now that my life is now in this like super like shitty area, like this has to kind of be looked at in terms of like, obviously I'm using this thing to help this thing, but it's making this part of my life worse. So, you know, how do I maybe replace that with something else so it gets better? Like, I know for me, like one of the last times that I was consistently like, yo, I don't really care if I'm like here or not, it was like peak COVID. It would be like 8 a.m. I started like drinking bottles of whiskey and shit, like flat, like that was just kind of like when I learned to drink. Honestly, it was like by myself in this very shitty studio apartment that I was in by myself in like South Central LA. I was super unhappy on all the aspects of my life at that moment, and then like through that simultaneously I was like working a job, got like just kept drinking, got too depressed to show up, got myself fired from it, and just all these things of like realizing like, okay, this will get worse. Like I will, my life situation will get worse. I'm living like really close to a freeway underpass that has tents and tents of homeless people. Like, I could be there shortly if I don't do something, because,
Of course.
all that stuff. And yeah, eventually I just kind of woke up and started replacing started replacing things with things that maybe at the time were healthier, and they could be like really small things, like making a checklist for like what I'm going to do today that's like productive. To I started, like, at that time when I was living, the Staples Center was 1.5 miles away, and I would just go for runs to the Staples Center and back. So it's a 3-mile run every day. Start just doing like things like that, that eventually morphed into, healthier things that, like, I'm not going to say it like, made me this like fucking grandiose person or anything like that. It just, it got me out of situations like that. And I think one thing that I look back on where I probably should give myself a little more credit with it is that no one really told me to do that. I just kind of like stepped out, and I think people that don't have that like voice in their ear being like, hey, like, you need help or whatever, ultimately, I don't know statistically what this looks like. They probably just spiral harder and harder and harder. And that's one thing that I just kind of looked at with myself a lot. All the aspects of my life, I'm like, there's so many things about my life at this moment, this is once again like summer of 2020, that I'm unhappy with. How do I work on all of these things so that maybe once the year is over, hit December 2020, January 2021, whatever, that I get into a space where I feel like, okay, some of these things were worked on, or some of these things were improved on. And like, lo and behold, like, that did happen. And then just over time, like, those things get, they just kind of improve a little bit more and more. And then you get into a place where years and years later, when you realize like, okay, things are, I'm starting to kind of feel like this, you can actually like step out before you impulsively, take whatever it is, or lash out on whatever person or whatever, and realize like, this is how I'm feeling. Why am I feeling why am I feeling like this? Okay. Why? Okay. Well, and then just getting down to like the root of it. Yeah. That shit, like, little by little things like that, they do change kind of your life, I guess, like a little bit. Yeah.
So you were saying like people don't, I feel like everyone has that thing in their head. It's like, but are you listening to it?
Yeah.
Like that voice telling you to guide you, maybe religious, maybe not, maybe something in our brains, but it's like, are you gonna sit down and listen to that thing, if you're going through such a rough patch? Because I've seen it, like, in your body physically even tells you, right? You're probably throwing something up, fucking whatever it might be,
Mm-hmm.
if you're especially going through, drinking or drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
To do that, do you think, because you were talking about like in a religious aspect, are you religious now? Was it something that you kind of said like, hey, it was just all pushed at, like any of those bad feelings were the devil? Was it like Christianity growing up?
Yeah. So I was raised by my mom and my grandma. My dad was not in the picture. But yeah, a little bit before I was born, I'd say maybe like 10 years before I was born, my grandma, she was like her and her family growing up, they practiced like Judaism, and they were full-blown Jewish. And then just one day decided like to reconvert to Christianity. So I grew up basically in like a born-again Christian household where, for the most part, like I get the ideology of it and everything, but I think more so my household was more so scolding me of things that were bad and things to not jump in. And there's, it's a lot of stuff. It's like I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, but even looking at someone like Darth Maul or like Vader or someone like that's like bad. Can't watch Harry Potter. This wrestling that I caught you watching where this guy's bleeding, or like at that time it was a little raunchier, so there's like bra and panties matches and stuff like that. Like that's bad. You can absolutely never ever ink your body or get, you know, tattoos or anything like that. Like also I'll say this too, like I don't know any parents or family, like anyone watching there, but it's just like, feel like the more that you tell your kid they absolutely cannot do this thing, that's one, like 9.5 times out of 10 that's going to make them want to like do it. Yeah. So but yeah, so it was a lot of like more so things that were wrong. And I feel like when you get older, yeah, you just kind of look back, especially when you're a little bit more removed from those situations, and be like, okay, well, what exactly was, yeah, I don't know, just start like reshifting and thinking on your own and stuff. Where I stand on that stuff now, like as long as, you know, you're respectful about it, and it's not like a thing where you're like neglecting people of other, you know, belief systems or sexualities or anything like that at all. Like I think it's great if that is your thing. Where I stand on like what actually is, you know, I'm pretty open-minded about it. I feel like recently it's been more like spiritual stuff, like kind of getting a little bit more into like manifestations and like and just like the process of like the universe. Like that's kind of like my mindset of it. Is there, you know, and I guess like synonymously, like whether one wants to call that God or not, like that's, I feel like it's in this kind of very similar space probably that I'm sitting in right now as far as that belief system. But I feel like, yeah, I'm just kind of, I feel like the ultimate answer to that is just, I'm kind of like like ultimately shrug my shoulders, like maybe, you know, maybe not. But I'm open-minded about all that stuff for sure. But yeah, the upbringing for that was definitely, yeah, in this area of just like everything you like or listen to or watch or are into is bad. And I'm like, you know, I think for a long time it's like, all right, well then fuck this, you know,
Yeah,
like I'm going to do my own thing. Like,
how old are you?
Just turned 30.
So yeah, I think like we're pretty close in age. I think that it's been a big thing too with even like families, that it's almost going like with cancel culture, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but just in general, we're making it where like everybody is becoming like more equal. And I think that if you like it or not, whatever it might be, it's just where society's going.
Yeah.
And that's with parenting too. Like I feel like we grew up in a day and age where it's like when like the power struggle's there and you're like, no, like you can't do this, you can't do that. It's like in government, it's like why things happened during COVID where everybody, I mean, there were fucking cities where they're like, no, fuck that, no cops are coming here. This is a non-government, you know, meant zone or whatever it might be, in Portland or whatever. It's a weird shift of like, yeah, like with parenting, it's almost becoming where like every generation is becoming like closer of, I don't want to say that your parents are your friends, but it's becoming, like it or not, where everybody's becoming equal to race, gender, to all the different aspects of that. But yeah, definitely like to be, you even see it, like I lived in Utah for a little bit. I wasn't the best kid growing up, so I got shipped out there and seen it to the place where it's on the complete end of like caffeine's bad for you or whatever it might be, where people even grow up like unaware of those things. And it's not good, because I think in life you need to have the full perspective of everything, of yeah, like watching different entertainment, like it can't be looked at that everything is bad, because I've seen in my life, and a big thing on this podcast I've talked about with a lot of people, is like to go through hardship or maybe things that you didn't like or didn't enjoy is how you can look at the other side. Like, without dark is not light, and vice versa.
For sure.
To kind of go on a completely different tangent, I've just been getting on to Star Wars, so don't spoil it that much.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on Return of the Jedi. What do you think the proper way to watch it is, like movies wise? Because I know they have like a list online. I've heard, like, one guy was like told me the weirdest way to watch it. Which way, like a new guy going into Star Wars? What would you watch the prequels first, or?
That low key is what I did growing up.
Okay.
I think.
So you watched one, two.
So actually,
3, and then you got into like the 70s version.
I watched 1 and 2, and when I did that, 3 wasn't out yet. This was like 02, 03.
Okay.
So I watched episode 1, episode 2, and then I did 4, 5, 6, and then 3 came out in 05, and I watched that opening weekend in theaters. Still one of the like, best movie experiences of my life, as at like 9 years old, watching this guy like just on fire on the mountain. I'm like, oh shit, that's crazy. Anyways, but I
scraping his way out of fucking
it's so dark as a 9-year-old watching that. It's like, I don't know if I'd say it's traumatic, but I remember how I felt, like, just that whole movie, like, even outside of that, like Yoda versus Sidious, like this is like the ultimate like good guy, ultimate bad guy, and they're like lightsaber dueling on the like throwing the platforms that they had the Senate meetings at and all that. Like, it was just, yeah, it was crazy. But
I don't remember. Oh yes, I remember now. Okay,
yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess 7, 8, 9 is a good way to get started with it. I feel like if you do that, definitely keeping in the mindset like you would like a Game of Thrones or like any show that people hype you up on, is that just deal with the first movie or the second movie. Like, I promise it gets better, because there's a lot of just chatter, and like, dude, I'm a huge fan, but like there's a lot of nonsense in those first like 2 movies. And then on the flip side of that, 4, 5, and 6 is probably what a lot of older people would say to start with. I would also say, especially if it's a younger person that's going to do that, just, also going with the mindset of like production value is, it's still good looking, but it's old. It's a way older movie. So you have to keep that in mind. So,
that's the tough thing about watching it 1 through 5, I think, is like the lightsabers change.
Yeah.
Because it's getting to that age of like, because there's been a huge movie gap, right, with like production and all of that. And they did a great job. But even so, it felt a little disconnected getting into New Hope, where it's like,
it's just like
little, it looks a little different.
Yeah.
The acting's a little different. The way they shot it's different. The cameras, like all of that stuff. And I know they like revamped it, right? If I'm not mistaken.
They did,
like,
yeah.
Not too many, like 5 minutes of footage, or something like that. But yeah, I'm interested because, like, bro, the way they have it on the Star Wars website is like they're pushing all the Disney stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's like start off with, I don't even know what like, and I think it's Andor. No, maybe that's after the prequels. But yeah, they have a lot of stuff with like diving into it. I was like, I just want to watch the movies. Like,
for sure,
like
yeah.
Like that's what I wanted to. So yeah, I'm on. So I did 1 through 3, and then somebody told me to do like 5 first, and then go back. But I was like, I'm just gonna go in order.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Because like I think it's called like machete style or something. I don't remember. Because then you don't learn about like the Death Star like getting destroyed, and then they want you to like, I don't know, I'm on Return of the Jedi, so not too many spoilers, but go back. I don't know, it's weird. It's a really fucking, I don't know what I was sleeping on when I was younger. I don't know if it was just like watching I didn't like reading when I was a kid, so maybe like watching the first minute, like it kind of like put me at, even though it's like 10 fucking 20 words. I
Yeah.
think it maybe put it at like a different stance for me. I don't know what the fuck it was. I did not get into it as a kid. I mean, I love like the Legos of it, but the movies I never really got into, so I'm hyped to get into it. But yeah, Star Wars is fucking badass.
Did you see Rogue One yet?
So I'm on Return of Jedi. So right before that is that Rogue One? No, before that is.
So there's there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but Rogue One, it's not a numbered movie, but it is right before A New Hope. And I won't say anything about it other than the movie literally ends like 5 minutes before A New Hope starts, and it's fucking amazing. Like, also,
that's when they find out about the Death Star.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's not a prequel though.
No. So it's
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, the Death Star is like being built, I guess, in the end of the third.
And they find out the plans.
So
and then it cuts into like Vader being in the Death Star. I don't know which one's Rogue. What is it called? It's just called Rogue One.
yeah, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story.
Okay,
And
maybe I
then
haven't.
is
it a newer one or it's a?
It came out in 2016, I think.
But it's not a movie. It
is a movie.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so then I must have.
And then Andor is in the movie, and then that movie was so well received they made a show for Andor, which is called Andor, which takes place a little before Rogue One. They keep like it's like never ending when it comes to how much they expand, and like the stories like this is going to take place during this time and this during this time, and I'm all for it, but I understand to like especially a casual fan, like it is a lot.
It's a shit ton.
It's insane. And it's probably going to be never ending, but
yeah, they're gonna milk it. I mean, they dropped the billions on it. They're gonna want to.
I'm wondering. I feel that like that's an insane amount to pay him for it, but it's like
crazy.
they had to have made it back by now, and then
for sure. I mean, they make probably like I'm gonna just guess in the range of like 50 billion a year, probably like Disney does. So
like
with all the toys, and I mean they're pushing it all out. They've definitely made their money back on.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars, after they like bought it, I mean they're like revamping Yoda, like all that shit is. I mean I don't know the half of the new stuff, but they've definitely made their money back on it.
Actually, come to think of it, so they paid him however much it was. I want to say it was like 3 billion.
3 to 4 or
something like that. And I think the first movie under them, Force Awakens, I want to say that was like that was like around how much it grossed. Maybe a little less, but like still like 1.25 movie later they made their money back, and everything else that they've done since then is just profit.
Yeah,
that's disgusting.
It is. No, it's actually fucking crazy.
And to be fair, like since they've acquired it, some of it has been incredible, like, and some of it has been dog shit.
Yeah,
like I'm just being on, like, in my opinion, I really do think that they have. It's been both ends of that, and then some in between. So, but that's also like probably me getting a little bit older and more critical of it, because I remember growing up, I loved the prequel movies 1, 2, and 3, and all of the older heads that I would talk Star Wars with were like, those are disgusting.
Yeah.
Like those, and now. I think the sequel trilogy 7, 8, and 9, the kids that grew up loving the prequel trilogy are shitting on that, and then you got Gen Alpha that's probably like defending it, and all that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just gonna, that cycle will continue until none of us are here anymore.
Yeah, of course. I wonder what it is with that. Do you think that it's a lot of, because as you're younger, you look along to the future. And then as you get older, a big thing I've talked about on this podcast is like looking into the past a lot. Do you feel like you do that in your life? Of like as you're younger, like it almost feels like these miles. When I was a kid, I was like, I want to fucking drive at 16 so bad. I want to get out of the nest that I live in.
Yeah, I
want to do that. Like, do you catch yourself in your life, like finding that common kind of truth, or?
Weirdly, right now, I think just like with all of the goals I'm like trying to set for myself with the creative stuff, especially, I often feel like I do the opposite, where I'm like looking towards the future and like I'm trying to do this, and maybe I'm also like trying to like knock off not putting like a this is gonna happen by this point type thing. But I feel like I do that these days more than looking at the past and looking behind me, which I did spend a lot of my time doing growing up, or maybe like once I got to be like 18, 19, 20, and then, you know,
I think
maybe
that's
I was,
where a lot of people hit it. Like,
Yeah.
right when you get out of high school and
yeah.
stuff.
And at that point, you know, I can't speak for everyone else, but for me, I was like super depressed at that time. So looking back at times that were maybe, or like little aspects of life where I was a little happier, maybe it was a thing that was like, I don't know, like I think there had to be some sort of reshift for me to like get excited about the future and all that. And like, thankfully, like the creative things that I'm doing, I think have helped that over time for sure. But I think because of that, I don't necessarily look back on the past a whole lot. I feel like the other thing too, a lot of people during COVID did that. I feel like a lot of people were like, times are shit right now. I miss this thing or this.
Yep.
And, you know, like,
It was norm almost.
Yeah. And now it's like a lot of things from our childhood are cool again. Like Pokemon cards. Like, I'm back in that, you know, that has me again. Things like, honestly, the style of music I play, which I say this like with full confidence, I would be doing it if it wasn't back.
Yeah.
But now it is back, and that's cool. Like, there's, I guess, more opportunity there. Also a little more oversaturation, but like still, like, it's back. And through that, like, there's these festivals like a Warped Tour or a When We Were Young or a Sick New World or whatever. That's like, those are massive things now because of that. Potato wedges at KFC, like, people miss that, and that's back. Snack wraps at McDonald's are like things from like 10, 15 years ago, like even like small things like that. People are like, I miss that. And now it's, you know,
it's coming
like
back.
the nostalgia factor of things that a lot of people, I guess, just bathed in for years and years, especially like, and probably still do as like times in certain ways get worse, whether that's like, you know, inflation or like maybe political climates or like things involving like just how hard it is to live or whatever. Like a lot of that stuff I feel like has gotten people missing old things when they were younger, and because of that there's been enough of that where a lot of that is now cool again, I guess, which is great. And that's probably a really nice aspect of like herds of people looking back at the past and being like and bringing things back. Dude, even like fashion sense. Like, I remember not too long ago, I stepped inside of a Zoomies, and like, I don't know if you remember brands like Tap Out and like Affliction and like stuff from like 2004, 5, 6. Like, that's like in the front of their store now. Of course. Janko, like big old baggy pants and all that, like chain wallets and stuff. Like, all that shit is
it's coming back.
Yeah, for that sense and that community and all that. Yeah, it's like all that is back, which is really cool to see and witness that. So I definitely think like a lot of people that do look back at the past, I feel like there's like power now in bringing stuff back. But me personally, just in my day-to-day life, I typically don't as much, just because I'm pretty laser focused on like what it is I'm trying to accomplish, and like being a very goal oriented and goal driven person these days, which is great because there was a long period of time where I wasn't that person. Like, there was a long period of time. There's actually a song on the EP whenever it does come out about literally just like doing fucking nothing with my life. Like, I would show up to my job that I did not like, and I was miserable with. I would go home. I would play GTA for 15 hours. I would, you know, eat trash food and maybe watch, you know, I don't know, like porn or whatever, and go to sleep, and do that like every day of my life. Like,
rinse
that,
and repeat.
rinse, lather, repeat. And it's like this, you know, and then being very miserable, but also like not pulling yourself out of it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
this like you can't like see the like spiritually, I guess, like the like filth that you're sitting in or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, there's a lot of that you just eventually like something has to happen to just kind of get yourself out of it. So you know, thankfully for me, like I think there was just probably like one too many mishaps or like circumstances that maybe were in my control or out of my control or whatever, both, that helped that and like actually sparked some like more motivation and stuff. But yeah, you know, I think that's definitely, yeah, I don't know. I think for me, the living in the past stuff was really unhealthy for a long time. So
Well,
yeah.
you know, putting it a big thing is, I think that with mental health being more accepted, to like sit in it is
Yeah.
almost more accepted too. Because I see a lot of people not being able to. It's almost like it was so repressed for forever, right? When we were kids, it was just the start of mental illness coming out, and I mean, obviously we knew it was a thing, but we didn't care to see it, right? And now it's, as with acceptance, the pendulum shifts all the way to the other end.
Yeah.
Of if you're going through something, yeah, you have this disorder, this mental thing, but I think a lot of people, it's like, instead of working on it, and I caught myself too, it's like you sit in it because it's now accepted. Well, that's a thing. But yeah, it's sad to say, and I've caught myself doing it too. It's like almost it needs to get so bad to get the wake up call.
Yeah.
Where now we need to work on, as a society, of, okay, you have A happening in your life, depression, anxiety, whatever, and now it's what is, you know, what do we need to do B to get to C,
Yeah.
and go on with that cycle. But it's a tough space because mental health is just coming into being acceptable, right? In schools or work or
Yeah.
kind of any gesture in that sense. It's tough. It's tough because I've caught myself in that cycle too.
It's
Of
cool.
just being stuck.
Yeah, it's cool seeing that stuff get talked about more, because I feel like we were probably one of the last generations where it probably wasn't cool. So seeing, like, I'm not even like mad that like, oh, like, you know, it wasn't talked about. I'm just glad to see that like it is kind of a norm now to just like for it to get talked about, you know, more and more, because yeah, I think it just took, obviously, yeah, for certain people, like you said, like sometimes it just takes a certain amount of events or whatever to like for them to wake up. And honestly, like, you know, for some people it's only a few things, and for some people maybe it's the same thing over and over and
Yep.
over again. And there's no like wrong amount of, there's no window of like, oh, it's too late or whatever. Like you can always pull yourself out of it.
Of course.
And I think it's just, you know, the quicker that you're able to do that, the easier it gets. You know, the more of a hole you're in, the more work you're gonna have to take to pull yourself out of it. But yeah, I think just like honestly, as a society too, it's like we've lost so many people through, whether that's like ODs or suicides or like big names too, and like entertainment and stuff, where it's like, how many people does that have to happen to start like, you know, talking about this stuff? And I feel like, yeah, we're enough people that like did happen, where, you know, depending on what what scenes you're in and all that, like it's more acceptable now to talk about that stuff, which is great. So yeah, hopefully that continues, and hopefully that like flourishes more.
Oh,
like,
it will, for 100%. I think with time it will, people will understand. It's just like a tool belt, right, of understanding, being more present. I think that's such a big thing that I've realized in my life, is just being present, because I've fought the being in the past, being in the future. But I think being present, and sometimes it does take that bullshit to like wake you up, whatever it might be, but as we can be more present, you can fix those things. It's like a car, right? You can push off anything to do your car, but as you realize it more that, yeah, it's affecting my day-to-day life,
Yeah.
you can then, you know, change it in that way.
Yeah.
So when did you really start, like, getting into music? When was, like when did you release your first, like, you were telling me, like, your first single?
I did it so much later than it really just came down to, like I was saying, like, it just came down to living in the fear of, like, the thought of, like, oh man, like, this is gonna be seen and heard, and, like, this is a big like, eventually getting out of that. I released my first song in early 2024, probably way later than the average person at that point in their life does, but yeah, I was into music. I've been into music and, like, the style of music that I play and everything my entire life, for as long as I can remember. And I feel like once COVID hit and I kind of had nothing anymore, there was a moment of, like, okay, at this point, like, what the fuck do I want to do with myself now? And that was definitely, like, a huge thing of, like, all right, I'm going to I don't know shit about anything, but yeah, I ended up, like, signing myself up for, like, a production school that was like it was like a for-profit school in Hollywood, but you know, learned a little bit there, and then through all of the time, like, off time, like, especially time that I was just, like, by myself doing nothing, I had, and I still do to this day, have a lot of stuff on my mind that, like, I turn into songs, and I turn into, like, you know, I just have a lot to, like, word vomit out. So I think what's cool is, like, I'll go ahead and, like, write something, and maybe there's, like, a song I'm, like, either from childhood or, like, maybe that's popping now, or, you know, whatever, that, like, I'm really into, and I draw a little bit of inspiration wise, like, maybe some form of, like, the melody or whatever, and I'll, like, take a little bit of it, morph it into my own thing. And I've literally done that with all, as I was saying earlier, like, having, like, 60 or 70 songs just, like,
That's
queued
crazy
up
on the back end.
yeah, just on the back end, so that, you know, when I, like, got paired up with my homie Jake that I produce with, I also have the podcast with, and we're, like, making instrumentals, I'm, like, going through the notebook of, like, what puzzles in with what I've written, and then I look at the first song was called Thanks to You, and yeah, it's very, like, my girlfriend, I think, called it, like, very, like, early Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtrack coded. Yeah, it's very, it just fit like a fucking glove. And then, yeah, over time, just that seems to be right now, it's just kind of how everything is being operated as far as that creative process goes. And still, like, to this day, when there's stuff that is just, like, my mind is, like, too loud, like, I feel like that just is a great outlet for me. It's just writing it down, and maybe, you know, using it for, like, my beneficial gain of, like, can this work into, like, a song or something? If it does, great. If not, like, that's fine. You know, like, I feel a little bit more clarity about whatever it is, you know. And so yeah, I dropped that first song, Thanks to You, like, early 2024, and then did a few more songs that I ended up doing in this, like, it morphed into an EP that came out like early last year, I think, like, March 2025, and then everything I've done since then has just felt like a massive improvement. And then the second EP that does not currently have a release date, but I'd like to think in the next few weeks that it will. But there's two songs from it, or that are going to be on it, that are already out, called one is called Hopeless, came out at the end of last year, and one is called Caskets, which is, like, one of the only love songs I've ever written. Like, most of my shit has been about, like, either just, like, fuck this person type energy, or, like, I feel like shit because that, like, you know, it's most of them have come from, like, negativity and stuff like that. which is fine. Like I feel comfortable doing that stuff and talking about that stuff in songs and stuff. So in fact, I would say like the love song stuff, that's like new to me. That's like a new area that like I haven't really explored in or touched down on much. But I feel like contrast wise, it fit really well with like my sound of like high energy, like moshy, crowd surfy type pop punk shit. That's very like Blink inspired, very Green Day inspired. But yeah.
Does it start with, so when you say like you pull something from your life and then you jot it down?
Yeah.
Because I do that with stand up too. Like I think of something funny, I'm in a situation and I write it down. Is it you're like introspective and then you put down lyrics, you find a beat later, or like what's that process?
Usually, yeah.
Okay.
And it's interesting because I feel like I hear a lot of people say that the music comes first and then they'll puzzle piece in words from their life and stuff. I don't operate that way. I have just like thoughts on my mind all the time. A lot of them are, written down and
so it's like a situation with like a relationship or something happened to you.
Yeah.
You jot it down. Is that like the broad aspect of the song? Is that a melody or what is that? Or not melody, like a hook?
Yeah.
Is it both?
Yeah.
Or?
Usually I'll go ahead and like, if I look back, I'll go ahead and figure out like what circumstance it is that I'm thinking about,
like a time in your life or
a time in my life, maybe something that's happened recently. I feel like these days, more, I have a lot of stuff from way back when, so it's like maybe even focusing on stuff more recent, but like thinking about things that maybe I'm going through this thing or this thing, and then figuring out like what I'm feeling about this, and then also too, like maybe sometimes in my average like day to day, like I'll think of this situation that I'm in and feeling like it's like this, and I'm like, oh, that's actually a good line for something, and I'll go ahead and like jot that. And then usually I'll go ahead and I feel like whatever it is that I'm listening to that I'm hyped on, it could be like a more like small, medium size like Warped Tour band, it could be like a SoundCloud rap type shit, it could be a massive artist, or it could be like a deep cut from like a huge artist or something that I'm like I'm really like into this song right now. I'll go ahead and often like pull like maybe that's how I kind of want the sound to sort of emulate, or like maybe I'll take this melody. That part always changes every time, but that usually it will completely get morphed into something new. So it's not it doesn't feel like I just ripped this off completely,
of course,
and stuff like that, which these days there's a lot of artists that I see and hear, even if it's like a decent song, I'm like, oh, you definitely took that from this thing
them,
and that, but yeah, I feel like that's my process when it comes to just like full fleshing out thoughts and like making songs lyrically and all that. And then when it's time to like jump in the studio and, have my co-producer and being like, all right, I'm feeling like this type of way and whatnot. Cause I'll be honest, like my homie Jake that I produce with, he has years and years and years of experience on me. So he's definitely in the forefront of, it's definitely more so a thing of like, I'm kind of the ear or the voice in his ear of being like, can this kind of work like this, and obviously like I have like full fleshed thoughts production wise that I'll bring to the table, and sometimes I'll bring like drum beats that I'll use from like production stuff that I have, or like maybe a guitar riff or something like that, and we'll go ahead and just kind of expand an instrumental from there, and then I'll go back at my place, record everything on my own, like record engineer myself, tune myself, comp my vocals, and maybe draw some inspiration of like vocal templates that I have, and then we'll throw everything back at him to mix and master. And that's basically, it's kind of how we're operating right now.
So he comes in with like a rough kind of instrumental already, or you're saying, or does it start from scratch
Usually,
with the guitar and the drums, like you're saying,
yeah.
and you build it, or
So
is it more?
usually it does happen that way, where it's like we go ahead and we'll start from scratch, lay out maybe a drum pattern,
Okay.
break it up into sections, then work on some guitar stuff and all that. But yeah,
When you mean sections, like sections of like
a
the
chorus,
song? Yeah,
verse,
like a chorus,
yeah,
and that. Okay.
an intro, bridge, whatever. And then over time, but other times it's different. Other times it's like I'll already have some stuff, and I'm like, here, that let's use this riff, and then build around that, or like I have this drum pattern, let's build around that. I have this BPM in my head, let's build around that, or like through and through, like, hey, it's going to sound way different, but let's start with trying to emulate this song completely, and then over time it's going to be completely different. Yeah, so that part does change every time, but I think right now it's a pretty solid system. Yeah, so right now the second EP, like I said, on the music end of it, it's completely done. It's waiting to drop once the other stuff is ready. And then the third one, I am laying down some vocals for like 2 more songs, and then that's getting passed back over to him to mix and master. And then hopefully by that point, when that's done, I'm like about to fish out this second EP, just like a few more singles, and then like a huge release window for it. And then the third one's already ready to go. And then like it just becomes a little bit of a pattern of like, we're already ahead by like one project, dropping and stuff like that.
Yeah, projects constantly, or songs.
Yeah.
Do you think, because I know like in the punk, emo, rap, like I know you kind of brought all those categories down to, that's where a lot of it is, right? Like where a lot, you can kind of, from Suicide Boys to Pierce the Veil or whatever it might be. Would you ever want to do like a completely different sound, do the Drake model of like a Jamaican fucking out? Like, would you, or do you, is it kind of, I know you're saying that's a lot of the music and the sound that you love and you do, you said you're doing the love side of it more than like the dark side of things. Would you go on like different kind of sounds, or do you think you would always stay kind of in the realm of punk-esque?
Yeah. So I think
music.
I think that I'd say it's, for me, it's like more or less of sticking to a sound and more so sticking to like a spirit of like, I grew up, like one of my favorite things, and going back to the mental health thing, like I would say this was a huge escape, like coming into my like young adult years, is going to shows, and like just the overall high energy vibes of like jumping into a mosh pit, and like crowd surfing, getting lifted up, and like just going insane and all that is something that I don't want to say like, oh, it like saved my life or anything like that, but like it honestly, like it made me feel more alive than like anything else I was doing in my life at that point. So when it comes to music, I feel like if you listen to it, you can envision like this could have like a mosh pit to it in the crowd, or like this will have like movement or like something, I feel like it's a little less on what genre it is and more so keeping that spirit alive. So like for me, like, yeah, like I think pop punk is probably my favorite genre ever. Like it just, that's what I grew up on like Blink and Green Day and like early Fall Out Boy and some of the newer bands like a Champs or a Neck Deep or something like that. But then also, yeah, there's like the more aggressive side of hip hop, like a Suicide Boys, an X, a Ski Mask, a lot of that stuff as well. Like I love. I also love metal. Like I love a lot of, especially in like a certain side of it, like I'd say more in like those Hot Topic type bands, like a Bring Me the Horizon, a Motionless in White. I don't know if they're like of that metal anymore, but like a Pierce the Veil. And then in COVID too, like there was a lot of artists like a Corpse, like his shit that's like very dark and goth hip hop that's still very like, oh, I could push someone to this in like a friendly way, or like it's cool also just grabbing inspiration from like a lot of newer artists that are maybe taking a little bit from that stuff and also like having their own upbringings. Like there's this band Turnstile that like I've been waving that Turnstile flag for like 10 years. They're finally getting big. But yeah, I think just for me it's less of a sound and more so of a spirit of that. So I feel like all of those examples I've mentioned, if I haven't already, like there will be songs and will be releases that have a lot of stuff that at one point or another you'll probably hear inspo from, like
those
all
bands.
of those things. Yeah, all of those things. And I feel like over time, and to be honest too, like outside of that too, like other things I do from like clothes and shit, like there's like a loud energy to like these fucking pants that I'm wearing. This is a part of the DIY brand that I have. Like it's very loud, it's very out there and in your face, very graffiti and like smiles and like kind of sad or negative or emo words and phrases and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like just stuff that is very loud in your face, high energy. It's always been me, and that's always something that just kind of plays into all the things I do creatively and all that. So,
would you want to go like on to like having a band side of things? Do you want to just do,
I think so,
like a solo kind of run?
I think the way that I look at it is, I am kind of saying right now that my musical project, it's a project and it's like a solo project, but I would love to brand it over time as a band, but it's essentially just my project, even though it's being branded as a band, if that makes sense. Like for example, Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco. When you're going to see Panic at the Disco live, you're actually only watching that man's project.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else is a hired gun, essentially.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So they swap. Like, I mean, he has a couple guys.
Well,
but
I mean, they'll like go on tour. He'll have like his
set guys.
his set people that play shows with him, but you're actually, whether people even realize this or not, like it's him. Same with if you go see Evanescence, like it is Amy Lee's thing. Everyone else is like it's her
They're
project.
under her
yeah,
wing
but
compared
it's
to
branded as a band though.
Yeah.
There's probably I know that about those two, and there's smaller examples of this, like this big metal band, or at least for that community, a band called Ice Nine Kills. They've been like opening for Metallica recently and stuff like that. That guy, Spencer, yeah, same thing. Like it's branded as a 4 or 5 piece band, but it's it's his baby, and everyone else is doing their own thing. Falling in Reverse, like the singer of that, Ronnie Radke, everyone else is just a hired gun. You're watching the Ronnie show, basically.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how like I want to kind of view it as, is that it is when the time comes, like you're probably going to see like a 4 or 5 piece band on stage, but it's technically my thing that you're watching.
I didn't think about it when you were saying before, like to go and do a show then, because if it's like a band together, right, people are maybe more open to like not get paid, but as you hire people on, unless they're really close to you, they're probably gonna want at least something. So it's
the ultimate trade-off though, because like if you're doing this together as like a band, you're not necessarily as like the front person paying any of these other people because it's all your baby.
Oh, okay.
But also since it's all of your baby, it's like the creative input on.
It's 5 fucking people.
Yeah, it's 5 people. Like I would argue that's why a group like Brockhampton never lasted, because there's like 9 cooks in the kitchen. Like, of course that's not going to last very long, you know? Like,
well, it's like with every band, right? I mean, that's the thing about bands, like breaking up is the norm for the most part, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to say higher than fucking divorce rate. I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
bands,
It's actually like quite respectable when like you look at a band, or we can synonymize this with couples too, like that have lasted for 30, 40 years. Like I've never really been a Rolling Stones guy, but like, dude, like it's been them since the 60s. Like how, you know, like
insane.
That's insane.
I thought they had a break, but no.
No, I mean they've probably had breaks, but like as members, it's all been
them. I didn't know that.
Yeah. You know, a band like Green Day, they've been, you know, it's been those 3 guys. They've brought like a few like touring members on stage, but it's just been them since they formed, since like the start. Yeah, 30 plus years ago. Yeah, I mean it's when that shit happens, it's like it's crazy to think, because, you know, I'll look around just like locally, and a lot of my peers that like do bands and stuff, it's like, oh hey, what happened to your bassist that happened? It's like, oh yeah, we had a falling out. It's like, dude, it was like,
it's crazy.
You've only been with them for like a year.
Yeah.
You know,
especially now with, I mean, how everything is with, it's so much creative output for content.
Yeah,
it adds a whole another layer compared to just production side.
Yeah,
you know, you're promoting this whole thing as it, and it's tough. It's
super tough. It's one of those things too where it's like there's a lot of schedules too, especially these days, where if you're trying to, you know, once again, I hate this term, but make it, it's like course. You have like 4 or 5 people. If you're making content with all of them, it's like, well, maybe this person has 3 jobs, so there's also like, we have to fit this just in his schedule as much as we do everyone else's. And there's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of faith that everyone has to have, as like with hired guns and stuff like that. Instead, obviously, like you're paying them, that's more upfront, but in terms of you doing your own project, it's, I guess in some ways easier too. Like it's if you have that capital, you know, to spend on it, it's just it's a never ending cycle of just like finding, like we've been talking about this whole time, like that middle ground of like what's too much to throw at this, and then what's, you know, worth throwing at it. And I think for everyone and like their creative outlets and stuff, it's going to vary person to person and project to project and all that stuff.
When you were talking about like the pie chart of what you've like put money into, you're talking about like vocal lessons and, like, stuff like
everything.
Is there like, because you're like, sometimes I was like, fuck, I like put my, what's like something you were like, fuck?
Actually,
is it just like, is it smaller things like equipment and stuff? Is it lessons? Is it trying to play the marketing game with ads?
So it's all that. I actually haven't done vocal lessons yet. I've just kind of put that as like an example.
Yeah,
but I have done that for guitar lessons, which I've always been like, you know, okay to like go ahead and, you know, just play some shitty chords or whatever. But like, you know, working on like technique shit, stuff like that, like that, as well as more equipment, like production wise, more producer money to, you know, like homie doesn't do it for free, like there's that, more advertising and marketing and the playlist thing.
For the producing side, just going into a little bit, is it a bulk price for an EP? What are you doing studio time by the hour?
Like a little bit of a homie deal with it, because we were homies way before. I think right now it's like it's a certain amount like for like per track, and then it's one of those things where with that there's expectations of like, all right, this won't take on his end more than this amount of hours. This part of the work of it won't be on my end. It'll be on your end. And with that, just it comes with that like homie discount stuff, which we've definitely gone a little back and forth on, but we're in a good place with it now where we're pretty set on it. And we're both hopefully happy with it.
It's tough because I think I've seen just the smaller end of some of my friends get into like the rap game, right? It's I think it goes one or two ways, or no, it goes like three, and I don't want to be black and white about it, but it's true. It's like, all right, it's like most people, you do the studio and then you do like either by the hour of work or like this person believes in you to maybe like hook it up more. But yeah, it's a tough game because then it's like it's like nickel and diming, and like and as an artist you want to just be like creative as much as you can, but it's tough. What do you think about like the AI space with music? Like, would you go down that route? Do you think it's disingenuous when people drop it? I think that's like a big thing that's been talked about recently, especially that like song that just came out, fucking I forgot that rapper, Shoreline Mafia dude, but anyways,
did he really?
I think it's like something about like, I forgot what's his name, the Shoreline Mafia guy.
I forget his name too. I know Shoreline.
Phoenix Flexen. He like posted that song that people are saying it's like AI. Is that something you would like experience with? Are you against it?
I personally think just like in all aspects of as the world just kind of expands and stuff, that like the usage for it is going to eventually just like ultimately be like even from the people that are like naysaying about it, it's going to be accepted in a way that like Google is, when it's going
to be the standard.
When like a lot like kids are probably in school right now using ChatGPT for their math problems and stuff like that. And like a lot of people are like, well, dude, like that's not okay. Like you're cheating. And it's like, dude, like growing up, like Googling the answers and all that was probably by an older generation, like considered like cheating and stuff. That's like super accepted, that's like super like, okay. We're in this area where since it's so new, people are like, no, fuck that. Give it, when we get to probably like an older age, and that's just going to be like, there's going to be something even probably crazier that comes along. For sure. That where ChatGPT or something. Chat's going to be like normal as fuck to most of society. When it comes to like where I'm at with it right now is I have like, when it comes to production equipment and like certain things to like boost your sound and stuff like that, like I have this like mastering software that I don't think it should be entirely it should be entirely dependent on, but it does use AI to like, you just run the song through it and then it gives like a little bit of a gain to like the overall master sound of it. It's called Ozone. And
that's the hardest part with mastering, I feel like vocal. It's probably simple for most people, but where I see a lot of people go bad in music is like every time I've like gone to the studio and listened to the car after, it's to figure out that like euphoric sound of the vocals to the actual track.
And also too, like it varies everything varies where you listen to music.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're testing it in one place that sounds good, just know like it's going to sound different elsewhere. And you're like,
you're referring to like headphones.
Yeah.
Like
headphones,
car audio.
Yeah.
Or even on a phone.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's always going to sound different everywhere. So it's like, if it sounds good on one thing, that's great. It's probably going to sound a little different on this other thing too. So, that's one thing to always keep in mind about it. But
it's probably hard too with like your style of music because it's really heavy on the track itself.
Yeah.
Compared to other stuff of it being, it's almost like at the not on the forefront, but it even can be like a little bit higher than the vocals compared to like acoustic or like rapping. Vocals is so much of a difference compared to like, do you see that in it? Like it's like the bass and the guitar is like very close to.
Yeah, for sure.
Like mastering that seems like a fucking nightmare.
It is
compared to doing any type of rap where it's like you said, because if you want the high intensity, you want it to be up and
there's
top heavy there. You kind of have to have that.
There's a lot more elements to fuck around with.
Yeah.
Other than just like, here's your keys and here's your 808s and here's your vocal. You know, there's guitar. There's honestly multiple guitars. Like, and then you pan some left, you pan some right. You have bass, goes through like a amp simulator, but then you have like your DI one that's supposed to be dry, and then like there's all sorts of these elements that like you have to layer in. And on top of that too, like one singular voice over all that doesn't it doesn't just happen with all that. Like you got to have like some good takes of it, and then there's like, you know, if you want to do other things of it, like background stuff, ad lib stuff, I try to incorporate all that shit. Like it's just over time it gets to be it's a tedious process in itself, but I think going back to with what you were saying with the AI thing, I think from like beefing up things, and if you're using it in like dosages that clearly do not make the song what it is, it once again just kind of like a shrug your shoulders, like like, you know, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world necessarily, but if you're taking the creative aspect of it away and you're just pumping in a song and saying like, hey, do this and this is my song, like I don't know about that necessarily. Like
start to finish, throw the lyrics
and like, and that's
and
the
then
song.
Push at your end.
I think that like, and even too, like even using that for like inspiration and stuff, I suppose is like, you know, we're probably getting into a time and an era where that stuff is a little bit more like, okay. But once again, like just creating a song via 100% AI and being like, and that's that, you know, and that's how it comes out and everything. Like, I don't necessarily know about that.
What would you say, like, is it I mean, rap is just such a big thing, and I grew up listening to it. Now I've definitely gone to more, like, other genres, but I think of the interviews of, like, in a night, some people can rip, right? Like, the Juice WRLD mentality of, like, back-to-back song. If you just like the average time for a track that you're going on, I know you said you have a bunch in the bank, is it one night, one song? You know, you're there all day for that specific thing. Can you do an EP in a night? Can you do...
No, I would say, right now, I think as things kind of develop and everything, I would love to just, like, rapid fire out more in, like, a sitting. If I'm writing it, like, by myself, I've probably done, like, 2 or 3 at once, and... for the most part,
how long is that span? In like 4 hours?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, but there's also like it will fluctuate. There's probably times where I've written songs in like 20-30 minutes, like if I'm being honest, and looking at it and being like, okay, yeah, like I actually have no problems, no complaints with like anything here. Like I'm good to go with jumping, you know, in the studio and like getting going with it. But yeah, you know, it'll fluctuate every time. But I feel like for the most part, yeah, I'll sit there, probably work on one thing, and then if me and my homie are producing together, usually it's like one song per, you know, session or whatever. Sometimes it has been more. I think we've done 2 before, and it'll fluctuate too. Sometimes we're sitting there and we have like a skeleton of a song that we've been working on for like 4 or 5 hours, and then other times we finish out a song like the song I was saying about, like talking about my like just playing GTA for 10 hours, like the instrumental for that, I think we knocked out in like 40 minutes. Okay. Like 100%. So it'll always fluctuate, but sure. I think just rough average, we're probably like making like a good skeleton without all the like bonusy little ear candy stuff, probably, you know, a few hours of work. Yeah.
What about with like clothing? What's your creative process there? Are you doing a lot of like, cause I saw a bunch of stuff on the Instagram.
Yeah.
It's like one-offs.
Yeah. It's a lot of one of ones. I'm trying to like do a little more with making multiples, but dude, honestly,
I fuck with it though. I fuck with like the one-off.
Yeah.
Like
Thank
all
you.
the different, or like the pants are sick, and
Thank
like
you
the
so much.
different shit I saw on there. Cause yeah, I feel like sometimes when you go like too broad, definitely you can push it for people to buy.
Yeah.
But in nowadays, I think people are gonna slowly, right? It's with how the economy's going, people love handcrafted stuff. If
Yeah.
it's tables or clothes or
I
whatever
think
it might be, what's that process look like? Is it a lot of just getting some pieces? From there, do you want to do like a more simple, I guess it doesn't have to be simple, but like have like a size run and do that, or what do you want to do on the
dude,
creative side for clothing?
honestly, it's me wanting to like do clothing brands, and I say brands plural, not singular, because I actually like already have visions for like other ones outside of the one I'm doing right now that I don't think necessarily fit with what I'm doing. Like I have a few
Like
ideas
different
for,
styles or
yeah,
different,
so
different ways of the actual brand?
yeah. So the idea of like even wanting to just work with clothes, if I'm being completely honest with you, it started with just working at Tilly's and critiquing like, folding clothes or shirts for like Dora or Nosa or Faith or whoever, and just like doing that for 7 hours and looking at stuff and kind of judging it and being like,
Bro,
this
the
is kind of
prints there
cool. Like,
are sometimes rough.
yeah, they are. But every once in a while, there will be something that I'm looking at that I'm like, this isn't hard, but it would be if this was like this or this was like that. Like, and I've always kind of been that way when it comes to clothes for the most part. So I feel like, for me, because I have I have a brand idea that I want to mesh with my music stuff and kind of keep them similar. Not necessarily merch for my clothing brand, but a literal brand that kind of stands toe to toe with it. And I feel like it's like a kind of like gothy type thing meets streetwear stuff. Like think of like, I don't know, like shit that Supreme might do, but like with like death metal-y fonts and like, just I don't know, like stuff that like Travis Scott would probably do as well. Like just kind of like a hybrid between alternative and like stuff that is of that rock culture, but also very streetwear-y that like someone like a Complex would pick up and like give a little bit of love to and stuff like that. But in the meantime, even before that, yeah, my process with this brand that I'm doing right now called 96 Coffins, 96 being the year I was born, it's basically just getting a bunch of blanks from a lot of wholesalers in downtown LA and just a lot of these like local businesses, picking up a lot of things from them. And I've spent tons of money on blanks of just and like paint stuff and all that, and just literally just treating it like scratch paper and just practicing and throwing tons of stuff away. And then at the same time, like just over time being like, all right, what are some things about this that work and some things that don't? My process with it is, once again, like I love the loud just imagery on a lot of things. So, I've dabbled mostly with like hoodies, and like, some pants, some t-shirts and some other things. And I'll just go ahead and like make it as like, just like grungeify the fuck out of it and like draw from a lot of things that like you see in like just driving down LA or like even a Long Beach, like graffiti and like stuff that's like stitchy or like fence stuff or like, just like graffiti murals and stuff like that. And then since my music, not just my music, but like music in general is like a big part of just like my interests and stuff, putting a lot of like stuff that I'll draw from like lyrics of songs. And once again, coming from like a place of relating to a lot of negativity in songs and stuff and lyrics, like I'll go ahead and put like some like emo-y lines of stuff onto clothes, or like, and then maybe like build inspiration from like a song that maybe I've been fucking with at the time, and then putting that on clothes, and then like, all right, what other stuff are they saying in this song that like, you know, as bland of a line of this is of like, I'm not myself, or I'm not okay, or something like that. I was like, all right, and then just putting that kind of in like a Bart Simpson like over and over type shit.
Yeah.
Scribbly, and just over time, yeah, just making it feel authentically me, but also a way where I look back at it and I'm like, oh, that's fucking hard. So it's a lot of fabric paint and a lot of like fabric pens and a lot of like literal like spray paint that people use to like graffiti walls and stuff. I know there's
does that wash like well, like spray paint?
It does.
Does it fade, or is it?
If you dry it, absolutely. You gotta air dry. And I recommend like
before you actually wash it.
Yeah,
100%.
100%. So make sure it's all obviously like dry and everything before you ever wash it. But also
after
if you throw it into a machine, wash it on low, and then do not dry it ever, and then just have it air dry, and once you do that, like, it should maintain the style that was originally put on it. Because I've sold stuff to people and they're like, hey, like this faded. And I'm like, dude, I say it in all of the things that I sell stuff on, like, don't dry it.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, oh yeah, I dried it. I'm like, yeah. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Fucked
it up.
But yeah, I it's one of those things too where I'm stoked to just jump back into it. Like I said, like, I think there's a lot of things that I put on the back burner, or like I'll go ahead and with a lot of my creative endeavors, I'll like throw all my chips in a bag and like do it for a month or two, and then I'll ADHD out and then jump on the next creative thing, and then ADHD out, jump on the next one. I just want to cycle and carousel all of them around as much as I can. So like, with
do you think that comes from like sorry to interrupt you, do you think that comes from like a burned out feeling with it, or do you think that comes from just being interested in the moment with it and just writing the creative?
That's a good question. I don't know if I've actually sat with like I don't know if I've ever sat with like the idea of like, do I feel exhausted from this, and that's why I don't like really want to anymore. I will say this, there's this like anxiety that I do deal with of like, and it's very small but it's present, of like, all right, it's time to jump back into, like, I made time and set aside time for this creative thing. Why do I feel anxious about it? And then it goes down to like, I don't know if you've seen that episode of SpongeBob where he has to like write that like 400 word paper or whatever, and he goes to like cleaning his house first, and then like feeding Gary and like doing all that stuff first, and then all the time that he had for that is gone, and now it's the morning and all of that. It's that procrastination. Yeah. And that procrastination comes from being anxious of just jumping into it. And it's so weird because I feel like I'm someone that I want to do all these things, but the literal jumping into it that day has I look at it, and I'm sure a lot of people that do creative stuff can relate. There's this like weird fear or anxiousness of actually jumping into it. Once you're into it, it's fine, whatever, like, you know, go down that rabbit hole as much as the day allows you to do, but literally just actually getting in the groove of it,
the first step
the first step is like, honestly, like weirdly hard. And then, you know,
of course, I mean, that's what most people, I think a big thing on this podcast that I've seen a lot of people struggle with, and I've talked about myself is like, first in school, for example, right, I'd write a paper and it would be after the first like 4 sentences, it's easy, but those first 4 could take me fucking hours. You're sitting there thinking about it. And I think sometimes too, like the burned out feeling of, at least I've caught myself of, like, then you procrastinate, you jump over that wall, and then you put like all your energy to it, and maybe you ride that for a little bit, and then you get burned out, then jumping over that wall again. Yeah, that's something I've dealt with a lot. I have to look at those walls as just a little shorter that I can jump over and try to.
Sure.
Because I think that's just with the way society's going is just. I think a lot of people go 100-0, 100-0,
Yeah.
and go into the place of. I've seen myself work. I have a job where it's kind of on my end when I want to work of like on call. I'm a locksmith, so I go in and like I get leads from different places. I see myself like working 15 hours and then like rot in bed and then like go and do that process compared to like every day probably should do the 9 to 5 hours
for sure
and then dive back in. But yeah, creatively it's been the same thing of like I'll write stand up, and I'll go crazy. I'll fucking rip a Celsius and I got half a fucking notebook done, but then getting back into it's tough or whatever it might be. But like you said, just like finding the middle ground and slowly pacing yourself for that. And especially it's hard because I see what you're talking about, clothing, podcast, music. It's all like they all correlate or they all, like kind of rock together. But the hardest part is like now you're maintaining like 10 things to juggle and to do that. Do you find yourself like trying to juggle all those things at once? Because there's that saying of like spread yourself too thin, or do you find yourself kind of going like music, clothing, podcast? Do you try to maintain them all at once, or what do you?
I kind of do, and I feel like this is actually something that currently, as of this moment right now, I'm not in therapy, but I was for a few years. And this is a talk I had with my therapist about of like, with all of the things I'm trying to do, plus all of the time that I unfortunately have to devote to like my actual jobs and stuff. Once there is free time, I'm exhausted.
Of course.
So like right now at this moment, and honestly, it depends on how you look at it, but I think I would say right now I'm working like 4 jobs at the moment. And depending how you look at it, it's more, but I just say I'm working 4 jobs. But I am, once there is time to go ahead and devote to the creative stuff, it's like, man, all right. Like, I just want to rot in bed, and like what you were saying about like, especially after working like 14, 15 hour days, sometimes it's definitely a weird area of like feeling like you have to devote time to do that and put the effort in that craft. But then if you don't, and you're honestly like mostly kind to yourself and like give yourself a break mentally, at least for me, it's somewhat, there's like a thing of like, like I'm bummed out because I had this time for this and now I don't anymore because I gave myself a break and now it's time to go back to work, and stuff like that. So that's definitely something that in therapy, it's been like, all right, I know he was saying like, I know you want to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and J, and K, all these things. But in your circumstances right now, you might not have time to go ahead and do those things, not that you might, you simply don't. So you kind of, the sooner that you accept that and maybe start focusing on one of these things as opposed to all of these things, it will, it will make the progress on whatever thing you choose better, and more progressive there. And then 2, you'll probably start to develop more of a love and appreciation for the other things because you miss them over time.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what has been happening, with both of those things. I feel like, out of all these things I want to do, because do a clothing brand, eventually want to do 2 more. I do concert photography. I wanted to like get my foot in the door and like, shoot for like some high profile names and stuff like that. I do music, I do a podcast, I do all these things. But I think right now the music is probably for me the priority. And there's other things I haven't even gotten started on yet that like I've just accepted, like, all right, later in life I will jump into that. Like I really want to screenwrite. I really want to like
That'd be
do the
badass.
film and TV stuff like a lot. It's just one of those things that like with all the, as you said, like spreading yourself too thin, like
Yeah.
that's one thing where it's like I will, it's just, yeah, it can't happen right now.
And with creative, it's hard too because it's you're wearing all the hats for each of those things. It's not like,
Yep.
hey, if you have a 9 to 5 and you're an editor for a show that is just then deadlines and this and that, it's like creatively you're wearing all these hats. Like, what hat do I put on today here
Yeah.
to market this there, or to even create or to push it
Yeah, 100%.
in that like subsector of whatever you're like, yeah, whatever you're doing. I've caught myself doing that, and yeah, definitely like cementing time is a big thing of like deadlines. Like, I've told myself, I just went on a trip, but you know, for the last like 14 episodes I've posted like every week.
Yeah.
Same time. That's a good thing.
That's
to
awesome.
like hold accountable of I think, because I'm exactly like you. I think a lot of creatives are. I think you can tell when people aren't as creative to like do that, because maybe they just, I don't want to call it like a slave mentality, but it's like if you're not doing something creative, I think it's sometimes easier to like look at the whole cake because it almost seems like systematic. But with creative, it's like there's 10 cakes.
Yeah.
Which knife do I cut it with to start with that one piece to do it then?
Yeah, exactly.
But as time goes, like, and like you said, like as you fall in love and fall out of things, like you see with creators all the times, like rebranding their brand or themselves, or they're going to work on their merchandise here, or maybe change their sound there. Because a lot of that shit for creative too is just like busy work, like you're saying, like almost in a way of like when we were first talking about it, like editing fucked you up, of like you love the thing but you hate fucking like that side of it. Like even doing the podcast, I came in and I was like, I was gonna get a producer and like do all that, but then it was that same thing of like I had a producer and it was kind of like the band of like creativeness of two creatives going together that was like too much, and it kind of made me like almost the thing that I love, which is podcasting and doing this, like just talking to people and building connections. It's like you kind of fall out of it because of that thing. So yeah, definitely like seeing what you can optimize, which is such a fucking buzzword, but it's real, of just what can help you in that subsector, and like try to pull money out of it, of just like, yeah, it's hard because money takes everything, and then like you can hate it because of money, you can hate of it because of time, or that. Yeah, I've just tried to, like you said, just balance all those things out and see like what will work. And there's not like, I feel like for most things too, which kind of sucks, is like knowledge about it is looked at, where like to get taught by it is very hard. Like for school, for example, I knew this one girl that was doing like ultrasound tech work, and like job search and stuff was like never talked about. 2 years now in out of that industry, going into getting a job, it's like the job market sucks, it's tough, the person that's helping you probably is just like, you know, it's another person in line with a number, you know. So yeah, just finding the time to, and like finding the love for it, I think is so key. And yeah, trying to like branch off from it, but also just do the thing
it's
that
like,
you love, you know, to do it.
yeah, it's an artwork in itself to like not let the other bullshit
Yeah.
like have you
Fuck
fall
it
out
up.
of love of it. Because
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I remember like once again during COVID, when I was like, you know, decided I'm gonna take the music leap and all that, it wasn't a thing of like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? I was like, I don't want to do one thing for the rest of my life. I want to do 15 things for the rest of my life, or at least 15 things during the rest of my life, you know? Like that's just kind of how I operate. And I feel like if I'm trying to get out, and I feel like I have like gotten out of the mindset of just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. I feel like when one of them eventually does, like everything else gets, all the other creative endeavors also kind of get love from it in some way, shape, or form.
Of course.
But yeah, I feel like that's definitely all of the other things that fall into it with wearing the other hats is something that has, you know, it's the love for the craft initially was at some points definitely tested with all that.
The
Like
other
for me,
bullshit, yeah.
dude, for me, I am a horrible troubleshooter. Like any time, like any stuff in that like AV sense of like, if something goes wrong ever, dude, I will like. I remember there was one thing with recording vocals where I'm like, why does it sound like I'm in fucking outer space with my DAW with Logic that I work on? Like why? Like, and you know, chat GBT'd it, Googled it, YouTube videos, like 7-8 hours go by. And I'm like, well, the day's fucking gone. Like,
Yeah.
great. And
I'm
then
literally troubleshooting.
yeah. I eventually asked my producer, like, hey, do you know anything about it? Like 15 minutes later it was good.
Yeah, fix it.
But
Yeah, I fucking hate when that happens.
yeah, I hate when that happens.
I hate when that happens to me all the time. I definitely though would have not started this podcast without AI though, and like figuring out problem solving with it. But yeah, it's just something again that just like it cuts down your creative. You find this time to be creative, and it should just be like point and shoot, ready to go. But
what about you? Would you say that that's like the most difficult part of doing this is those things? Or
it's hard, yeah, to definitely get into being the talent and also like checking vocals. I mean, as we're talking and like making sure cameras aren't freezing. I got a computer that's like recording it all, making sure that that's not. I've had a couple where like midway through it just crashes, you know, because it's like so much data at each point. But I think that like sometimes I look at it as like, fuck, it sucks. But sometimes I know it's good because at least for me, I've never had anything be actually meaningful that didn't have hardship.
Yeah.
You know, and didn't have that bullshit of like that day my computer crashed. I had my sister on the podcast, never released it because it crashed midway through. Like the footage got corrupted. I'm there for 5 hours, chat GBT and calling like Craigslist people that work in it. But I have such a weird setup where it's like mimicking camera views and stuff to, you know, then record that. Like nobody does that unless you're probably super high in production that I don't know anybody in. So but even just like lights or like, you know, I had like overhead lights that were like overheating and like shit like that. But I don't know, it sucks, but I know that like later down the line it is meaningful. But I understand why corporate hedge fund people have 15 assistants to manage family and manage their house and then manage their maybe time there, or like a travel agent. Like to me, I always thought like, fuck, a travel agent is like, why would you pay 15% premium on a plane ticket for something? But at the end of the day, it's like a lot of times you pay money is for like less fucking headache. Like that's why you pay a premium on anything.
Yeah.
For the less headache. So it's the give and take of like I love it and I hate it, but it's also I have to accept that like with hardship is the only time that I've ever experienced anything meaningful. I don't try to put myself in like hardship. I know some people do of like, hey, if I go over this wall it will like be better, but I've just seen that meaningful stuff takes just going through the work, and hopefully it's that, you know, will it not affect me as much, right? Like we give up our maybe happiness for money, right? If it's a job or if it's whatever, or relationships, whatever it might be. But yeah, to go through like the tough part, and then it will be way easier down the line, you know, to do it. Like I've scrapped probably like 10 fucking episodes of this fucking thing.
Really?
Yeah, of just like time. People come, travel from whatever, you know, come here, and like it's just a fucking bitch. So but yeah, going through hardship I think is something that I've just realized it's all beneficial.
It's all trial and error.
Yeah.
It's even like getting lights that overheated and stuff, it's like it sucks because, you know, that's your own money that you put into it, and no one stresses more about money than I do, like all the time. But it's one of those things where over time, yeah, you'll realize like, all right, it was all part of it. I don't know.
Plan.
It's all part of it. Like the learning process of what works and what doesn't for, you know, whatever setups, whatever, anything that you're going out to try to like do and expand and all that. it's just one of those things where, yeah, even something as simple as overheated lights and stuff like that. Like, trust me, like with, as you know, going back to the beginning of this, like with cameras and stuff like that, like, I mean, knowing what works, what doesn't.
Yep.
And just like holding on for like the upgrades of those things, like putting away a little bit here and there for that, which I mean, I'm not good at, because I have like 50 things I'm like, I need to put money on this thing and this thing, but you know, still.
Bro, I literally had to finance like these shits, and I'm like, fuck, like I want to just get them and get it over with, but you have that mentality of it, and it sucks too, because like a lot of things, I think when you go through hardship, I do that thing of like, I know one person knows the answer to this, and it's gonna take them 5 fucking minutes. Yeah. But like, you go through all this bullshit to get to that person, which is just fucking annoying, but it's life, bro. It is life. I really appreciate you coming on. Dude, thank you for having me. Bro, really, I'm hyped to see what's like next, and yeah, man. We gotta get some clothing shit. I gotta buy some shit. We gotta cook something up. I'm definitely, dude, let me know whatever you want. Bro, I'm down. And some like sick hoodie or something. Absolutely. Yeah, I got you. Badass. I'll run it. Yeah, I'm going back to like going hard with it anyways, like in the next few months. I fuck with it, so thanks again, bro. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.